I lecture at the universities.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. The legality of Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morero's so-called bomb squad is being questioned. The mayor established it earlier to ensure service delivery plans are implemented, but parties both within and outside the ANC-led coalition argue it is illegal because the Municipal Systems Act does not provide for such a structure. Alfara Mushwana reports.
Concerns are mounting that Johannesburg's so-called bomb squad is a redundant and parallel structure to the city's existing administrative and political structures. Critics argue that appointing such a unit to carry out responsibilities that should fall within the city's own capacity is unnecessary. Transport MMC and Patriotic Alliance Deputy Leader Keni Kunene, whose party is part of the ANC-led coalition, has warned that the unit could bring trouble for the city.
We are not happy with the bomb squad, but we are raising our dissatisfaction on the operations and the establishment of the bomb squad, which operates like a rogue unit.
Meanwhile, the DA has sent a letter to Gauteng Cocta MEC Jacob Mamabolo requesting a review of the legality of the bomb squad. The MEC has committed to responding to the DA's inquiry within the next 7 days. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
Joburg residents are being urged to be cautious when using heating devices during a cold snap. Forecast for the next few days. More than 10 people have died from fire incidents across the metro since the winter period started. EMS spokesperson Xolile Khumalo warns residents to be mindful while handling fires and devices to keep warm.
Please handle electrical appliances, open flames, flammable materials responsibly. Furthermore, we strongly advise community members not to leave children locked alone at home, as this pose a severe safety risk during emergencies.
The DA has issued terms for the president to fire at least 3 compromised ministers or face unspecified consequences. The firing of DA MP Andrew Whitfield as Deputy Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition is the latest ruction between the DA and ANC. DA leader John Steenhuisen says Ramaphosa must apply the same standard across the board and take action against his own party members who are facing corruption allegations. Lindsay Dentlinker reports.
While the presidency has not offered an official reason for Andrew Whitfield's removal, the DA suspects it's because he went on a trip for party business without approval from the president. DA leader John Steenhuisen says some ministers accused of more egregious acts have been allowed to explain their actions.
There are members in the cabinet who are implicated in the VBS scandal and looting. There are members in the cabinet,
honourable members,
who, despite apparently misleading Parliament over an attempt to deploy corrupt cadres to CETA boards, remains in the cabinet.
Steenhuisen suspects a deeper motive for Whitfield's axing.
He was raising uncomfortable questions about the Transformation Fund and the opportunities it provides for looting.
Steenhuisen says if President Ramaphosa does not fire Ministers Thembisa Malani, Nobuhle Nkabane and Deputy Minister David Mashlobo by tomorrow, grave consequences will follow. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
And Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo will sign an agreement in Washington today to put an end to a conflict in the eastern DRC that has killed thousands of people. President Donald Trump has announced the diplomacy that led to the deal and publicly complained that he hasn't received a Nobel Peace Prize. The M23 rebel group in late 2021 launched a new offensive that it escalated sharply earlier this year, seizing parts including the key eastern DRC city of Goma. The Kinshasa Kinshasa government has long alleged that M23, consisting mostly of ethnic Tutsis, receives military support from Rwanda, a claim it has denied. The Rwandan and DRC foreign ministers will sign the agreement in Washington in the presence of Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Gold is trading at $3,299.56 an ounce. The rand is at 17.84 to the dollar, 24.49 to the pound, 20.86 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $68.21 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the M1 South. This is just as you come out of Empire Road towards Carr Street. Please be on the lookout there. There's also queuing traffic on the Mike 1 North towards Greyston Drive as you head towards Sandton. Please drive with care.
A fine Friday in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 11 and 14 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, the legality of Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morero's so-called bomb squad is being questioned.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. Choose the 8 kilometer for those walking strong, the 6.7 kilometer in honor of Mandela Month, or the 4 kilometer for families and first timers in 702's Walk the Talk. Tickets on primemediaplus.com.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app,
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
6 minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang, happy Friday. Welcome to the Clement Manyathela Show. I hope you're good this morning. Thank you for allowing us to be your companion, because we love it. It's Friday, and every Friday we do Gratitude Friday. You can call us and tell us what you are grateful for this week. The number to dial is 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. Tomorrow is Radio 702's 45th birthday. How exciting. Talk Radio 702 was founded on June 28th in 1980 as a young adult music station and later transitioned to a talk format in 1988. So, in fact, 702 is the bedrock for which Prime Media as a business stands. So I'm really proud to be part of a station that has been the leading talk radio station for so long. How long have you been listening to the station? Did you listen from the early days of its establishment? Please share your stories with us about Talk Radio 702. Now, will President Cyril Ramaphosa respond to the DA's ultimatum to fire compromised ministers in his cabinet within 48 hours or face consequences? Because that's the ultimatum. And what do you think the DA should do if the president doesn't act on the ministers? I mean, the DA has made this ultimatum to the president after he fired the Trade and Industry Minister Andrew Whitfield for seemingly going to the US without express approval from the president. And the thing is, Andrew Whitfield did request for permission to travel to the US as part of the DA delegation 10 days before the trip. And the president's office merely acknowledged receipt of the request, but never bothered to respond to it. And then 4 months later, in fact, as we speak, that email Andrew Whitfield sent to the president still hasn't been responded to. How unprofessional. So Andrew Whitfield took silence as consent and went to the US, and now he's been fired. I asked him last night on Face the Nation why he took silence from the president as consent, because ultimately he didn't have written permission, and he admitted that maybe that was wrong on his part.
Are you allowed to travel though without express permission, without a written consent? Because at the end of the day, you didn't get the approval.
Well, I think that under the circumstances of the GNU, I think that it would be reasonable for the president to presume that there are new members of the executive, that perhaps there was a different way to handle this. But to answer your question more specifically, I felt very strongly that 10 days was more than reasonable, a period of time to receive a response. And the fact that there was no response, I simply took silence as consent. And perhaps that was an error in judgment on my part. But at the same time, I don't think that the sanction, which appears quite dramatic against the backdrop that you've painted of other members of the executive and the history, for me to be, I think, quite possibly, Clement, the only member of the executive that President Ramaphosa has ever removed from the executive, I'm not sure, it is quite a historic decision to make on this basis. I think there were other ways to deal with this.
Absolutely. There were other ways the president could have dealt with this. Now, you can fault Andrew Whitfield for going to that trip without the permission from the president, even though he requested for permission, but he wasn't responded to. But the president as well must be faulted for failing to respond to the email. I mean, how broken is the system? If he didn't want Andrew Whitfield to go to America, he could have just said, no, don't go. I mean, I've been sent emails yesterday from some ministers and deputies where they show that they requested permission from the president and their requests were responded to within days. So it's bizarre that this request was simply ignored. According to Whitfield, some in the ANC, believe it or not, are surprised by this decision by the president.
I have had some calls from some colleagues in the ANC who have been perplexed. They've been supportive. I've tried at all times to be as respectful as politics permits with colleagues. And, I think that there's a bit of confusion inside the ANC around this as well.
Wait, can you believe it? I was surprised there, in fact. I was very surprised. So I said, did I hear you correctly that some in the ANC have been calling you to support you? Well, he says that's the case. Okay, so if the president has fired Andrew Whitfield because he went to the US without his permission, that's wild. And John Steenhuisen argued yesterday that there are double standards here, and I don't think he's wrong. How many ministers or deputies have done worse, and they were never touched? Some were just moved to other portfolios at best. What happened when Thembisa Melani, who was the justice minister, when she faced allegations of having received monies that flowed from VBS? She received a loan from a businessman who allegedly received kickbacks and benefited from the VBS looting. That same man is currently standing trial on corruption charges linked to the looting of VBS. Did the president fire her? No, he asked for a report and some explanation and then moved her to the Department of Human Settlement. You would have thought action was going to be taken against the Minister of Higher Education, Nobuhle Nkabane, over her embarrassing management, in fact, mismanagement of the SITA board appointment and her belligerent attitude towards Parliament. And she's been apologizing over and over again. She hasn't been touched by the president, and she's been an embarrassment. The president hasn't said anything about her. I can go on and on to mention other people in the president's cabinet who have done far worse, and they've never been touched. But then again, how serious is the DA about this ultimatum? What are they going to do? Walk away from the GNU? That's funny because I have lost count of the DA's threats to walk away. And I hope I get proven wrong this time around. But there have been so many red lines where something happens, they say, this is the red line. If the president doesn't change, or if they don't drop this policy, or they don't give us these ministerial positions, we are walking away. They're still there in the GNU. But let's wait and see. Because I don't think the president will act on this ultimatum. I mean, some people are worried that if he does, he will appear weak and he will set a problematic precedent. What do you think? Give me a call or send me a WhatsApp voice note. At 10 o'clock, we're going to do our Across the Desk feature. And today, I am hosting people who have experienced near-death experiences. You know when doctors say to people who are in ICU or who've had severe accidents and they say, you were gone. We declared you clinically dead. It's a miracle that you are back. And some people come back with stories of what they experienced during that time when they were quote-unquote gone. Well, those are the stories that I want to bring to you today. I started reading a book a few months ago titled The Other Side by Sarah Bullen. Fascinating book about different accounts of people who have had near-death experiences, and they tell of what they experienced during the time they were clinically dead or were stuck in a coma for so long. It's so fascinating, and I've told you about it before. I highly recommend it if you're interested in stories like that. So I've got two people who are going to come, including Sarah Bullen, who are going to come and share their stories with us. At 11 o'clock, we're going to do our relationship and sex feature. It's adult radio at 11 o'clock. No kids allowed. Today, we're going to do the biannual sexual health Q&A with Professor Shingai Muntambirwa, who is a neurologist and head of department at Dr. George Mukari Academic Hospital, and Dr. Mpumezenda, who's a sexologist and OBGYN. These are top sexual health experts. I bring them in studio twice a year. In fact, this year we're doing it, I think, 4 times. I bring them to studio to address your sexual health related questions. You can ask them anything sexual health related, anything between 11 and 12 o'clock. So that's what we're going to do today. That's the show coming up over the next 3 hours.
Clement Manyathela, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Mpo, you calling us from Dipkloof in Soweto. Good morning.
Hi, Clement. I hope you're well. Happy Friday to you.
Happy Friday.
Clement, I started listening to what was then Channel 702 when I was 15 years, way back in 1980.
Wow.
And I was in Moletsani, growing up in Moletsani. I remember at the time, there was a hoodie that was light blue in color, written Channel 702 with red and white colors.
Mm.
My friends could not understand what this was all about, because Channel 702 at the time was playing rock and pop music, which was not popular in the township.
Mm.
And I can tell you now, 45 years on, I still, when I drive to work, listen to 702.
Oh, wow.
And on Gratitude Friday, I just want to say, the other day when Bongani played Robert Marawa's clip about XG, I literally shed a tear, Clement. I shed a tear. That is my best song, and I'm just about to turn 60, and what I've gone through in life, I feel very, very blessed to still be alive.
Oh, that's amazing, Paul.
I feel very, very, very blessed.
You sound so young, I must say. Hey, for someone who's about to turn 60.
It's because I run.
Oh, yeah? Well, yeah, you really, I can almost imagine what you look like, but you sound so young. Mpo, thank you so much for your call, and thank you for your reflection, having listened to 702 for 45 years. I feel like they must do T-shirts for people who've been listening to us for long. Like at Comrades, there are people who get us, who get celebrated for running, a particular number of Comrades or whatever. And I think even equally so, yeah, people who've been listening to this show and for so long, I feel like they deserve some kind of recognition. Thank you for staying with us over the years. Tabiso, you're in Polokwane. What do you want to say about Andrew Whitfield?
Clement, there's a petty say, where people just arrive at your doorstep and manage go. I think that's what Andrew Whitfield did to the president. 10 days, this person would have planned a trip, there's visas to be done and all of that. And in 10 days, he decided, by the way, I need to write a letter to the president of the republic.
Oh, maybe the trip was decided 10 days ago.
No. Clement, you have been traveling all over the...
And how I travel, Tabizo? I could get on a flight tomorrow.
Clement, United States, even yesterday, has announced that for you, if you want to go there now, you must not put your social media on private settings, because they are going to deny you a visa now. They are very clear in terms of their scrutiny and all of that. So now, this man was doing Chaparikowe, and it's unfair for this particular country and the president, because someone else will do it again and say, no, but there's a president in terms of what we have done through with the DA guy, because you are afraid of them. Once you allow, and there's also a precedent in this country. From 1995, it's only Jacob Zuma who did not act. I don't know, because there was no one who transgressed in terms of going without approval. Thabo Mbeki did it.
Yeah,
Mandela did it in 1995.
The context was very, very, very different, right? I think that's very important.
I agree with you, but let me give you a proper context on those other two. You remember in 1995, Mandela would have not acted against Winnie Madikizela. Very popular at that time.
Yeah.
And secondly, in 2007...
But he told her, don't go. He told her, don't go. The difference... That's why I'm saying, Tabiso, let's not get...
but 10
because
days.
Yes, but my worry is we're going to use the old examples, and the context was very different there. And it's very important for us to be contextual, right? This is very different, and I'm not saying this has never been done before. I'm just saying, where in the ministerial handbook does it say that you have to ask for permission within 30 days? Where? So it says, the manual says, at least 2 weeks. This man writes to the president 10 weeks before. The president acknowledges receipt. I have seen so far 4 emails where ministers, 3 of ministers, 1 of a deputy minister, where they ask the president for permission. The president responds within days. It doesn't make sense for the president to acknowledge receipt of your email and doesn't say, don't go. It's 4 months today. The president still hasn't responded to that email. I mean, come on, Tabiso, you can't justify that.
What was the agenda also?
Then say no. Then say no. Then as a president. Then say no. As a president, then say, I am not allowing you to go.
But let's move it further, Clement. Let's move it further. Now it's an ultimatum to the president. And in fact, I was listening to Steinhazen yesterday when he was debating there, saying, no, this particular ministers who have done that and those and all of that, therefore the president must fire. Now we're going back to what we've spoken about some couple of months ago when there was an issue of a budget, where DA said, no, but we have Bella Act, we have what, why don't you reverse them if you want to us to support you on? Even if you check all those ministers, granted, was there any court of law that says this minister has been found guilty? Or 2, was there any way that, in terms of the Minister of Higher Education, for example, I have said it on this particular show to see. I said, no, even if you check the law, it is clear. It says that the power to appoint chairperson rests with her. Whether she appoint an independent panel or not, the parliament therefore needs to say, because we want to be able to help you in this particular regard, like the SABC board, like any other board that goes to parliament. Let's pass the law.
Yeah, but she mustn't lie as well. She mustn't go to parliament and say, oh, I had an independent panel that helped me decide on these board chairpersons' names.
Well, independence relative, Clement.
Independence
relative.
So next time,
you saw the statement by EFF saying the board members of IDC and all of that. So accountability, but relative independence. So Friday.
Thank you. I got you. Thank you for your thoughts, Tabiso in Polokwane. Let's hear what the other listeners think. It's 22 minutes after 9 o'clock. Mario, Lundu, Elton, I see you. I'll come to you after this.
Light the fire this game day with a winning lineup from Checkers. Like Championship Burri Bites for R109.99 per kilo. Simba Potato Chips, any 3 for 48 Rand. And Knox Sparkling Hydration Drink, 500 mils, any 2 for 28 Rand. Light the fire, South Africa, and let Checkers do the rest. Deals valid until 29 June. Only at Checkers and Checkers Hyper, or shop on 6060.
Need the right tools to run your small business? With Nedbank, you get the latest Visa, MasterCard, and Amex accepting card payment device delivered to you within 48 hours. Enjoy getting your payment straight into your Nedbank account on the same day. Plus, you could get 100% back on the purchase price of the device. Apply on the Nedbank Money app today. Join the bank that's best for your small business. Nedbank, licensed financial services and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Ready to make the most out of your moves? Like that getting things done on the go move. Try this new MTN app. That overseas trip made it out of the group chat move. This new MTN app. That you hang up. No, you hang up move. This new MTN app. Today we make that move, and that move. This app. Today we make moves with this new MTN app. Download it now. T's and C's apply. MTN, SA's best network.
Get ready, South Africa. The 129th Hollywood Bets Durban July gallops into Hollywood Bets Greyville Racecourse on Saturday, 5th July. It's more than a race. It's the heartbeat of Mzansi. This year's theme, Marvels of Mzansi, celebrates our rich culture, vibrant heritage, and breathtaking beauty. From thrilling horse racing to show-stopping fashion and powerful performances by Zolani Mahola, Lira, Mafigi Zolo, and more. Feel the pulse of a nation in celebration. Tickets are flying fast. Secure yours now at Ticket Pro. The Hollywood Bets Durban July, Africa's greatest horse racing and social event.
Some walks are just for exercise, others for leisure. But this walk is for something greater.
It's team building.
This July, you won't just take a step, you'll take a stand. You'll walk through history. You'll walk with it. On Sunday, 27 July, the 702 Walk the Talk, hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane, returns. It's a route that winds through the heart and soul of our capital city. From the sacred grounds of Freedom Park to the powerful steps of the Union buildings. Choose the 8 kilometer for those walking strong, the 6.7 kilometer in honor of Mandela Month, or the 4 kilometer for families and first-timers. Entries are 360 Rand for adults, 200 Rand for children under 12. Enter now on primemediaplus.com. 702 Walk the Talk, hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane, is where footsteps become footprints.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the Talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
25 minutes after 9 o'clock. Mario in El Dorado Park. What are your thoughts? Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. Clement, you know, the president has been known for applying his mind, so maybe that's why there hasn't been a response, because he's been applying his mind
for 4 months.
4 months. But on the more serious note, Clement, you know, it's concerning that, you know, the Minister of Higher Education has been in the news this for the past few weeks. And it's concerning that the president hasn't done anything about that. And the GNU to me is like a marriage. And in a marriage, communication is key. And the president is the head of the house, isn't communicating with the other parties. And you can actually see that this is true because look at what happened with the budget speech. The Minister of Finance didn't communicate with the other parties. And that's what led to us having 3 budget speeches in a year. Mm-hmm. So I honestly think that, you know, the president should actually speak more to the DA and consult and just get things on this matter. And fire these corrupt, let's say allegedly corrupt ministers.
Yeah,
let's move forward from there.
Yeah, I don't see that happening, but let's wait and see. Mario, you never know. Elton, you're in eThekwini in KwaZulu-Natal. Yes. What are your thoughts? Hi.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Manyathela.
Sure.
I wanted to say firstly, I watched your podcast with Dr. Susan Mpofu-Welch on SNWX.
Oh yeah, that was I did it last year, hey?
It was it last year?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't. I only saw it like in the week. Wow. Okay. And I just wanted to say very quickly, when the lecture, you see this Makaiser left, because I was also such a fan of his and he said, boy, I also struggled to listen to in the beginning, but I must say, sir, you've become one of the best journalists in the country, talk show host. Keep it up.
Thank you, sir.
I wanted to talk about this, the president. Look, I think, Mr. Manyathela, that when Jacob Zuma was in office, as South Africans who have a vested interest in the political discourse, we spoke out against him when they was wrong, which was correctly so. I think that we must do the same when it comes to this president, because what he has done now with the dismissal of this DA minister, I'm not a member. I was a member of the ANC. I left in the Zuma era, and I'm not a member of the DA. But I think that this is totally wrong, because my point is, why is he so decisive when it comes to a DA minister? But when it comes to ministers within the ANC, he's too busy managing ANC factions to take action on far more serious issues. And I think that for me as a young South African, when Mr. Ramaphosa came into office in 2017, Mr. Manyathela, I had such high hopes because of the role he played in CODESA. And I knew, obviously, that it's not going to be an overnight thing because of the damage that was done in the state capture years.
Yeah.
But now we have 9 years to measure him. And I was listening to him the other day. He said we're slowly beginning to see the needle move. In which area? Because crime in this country is out of hand. We are not safe. I work in eThekwini. People are eating out of the bins in the city center every day. You look at the NPA is in a mess. So I'm saying we're not going to treat him with kid gloves. Yeah. The very same accountability that Zuma had, he must have. Absolutely. And I'm saying he's had time now. He's had 9 years. I don't see no needle moving. And I've actually come to a point, and this is sad because during the CODESA years, I had so much of respect for him. When he speaks, sometimes, Clement, I'm being honest, I actually switch off the TV. Because in my opinion, he is the weakest president in the history of the ANC.
All right, Elton in eThekwini, thank you. McDonald in Brett's High.
Hi, Clement. How are you?
Sure, Bara, go ahead.
Clement, listen. We've got the national dialogue coming on the way, right?
Mm.
Yes. And now, the failure for Mr. President for not even to say a word for 2 weeks. It's those people who have been appointed, to oversee, to run, or to lead this national dialogue. I think they must somehow be feeling disgusted because the president has now shown that he lacks some of the key elements on someone who knows how one should drive this national dialogue, the debate that have to shape the future of this country. I think this is an utter disgusting and it's very shameful, man. It's shameful for the president. What can I do as the president? I can go on public and say, South Africa, I'm so sorry. I think maybe something has just fooled me somehow, and maybe go back to the drawing board and try to engage with the deputy minister.
I doubt it, but let's wait and see. McDonald and Brett, thank you for your call. It's 9:31. Sviso has the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Hi.
Thanks, Clemens. Good morning. Police say Bloemfontein teenager Kamogelo Baikudi, who was kidnapped, is safe after he was found alive. The 19-year-old was abducted more than 3 weeks ago by two men who posed as police officers. Baikudi was located in Vaperna, a small town in the Free State, this morning. The ANC says it cannot allow SACP members to sit in on its election meetings as both organizations will be competing against each other. Last year, the SACP resolved to contest the upcoming local government elections alone and no longer under the banner of the ANC. Following that decision, the ANC and SACP announced they would not be asking their members to give up their dual memberships as the alliance is still intact. And Iran has denied it is set to resume nuclear talks with the US after the end of a 12-day war with Israel and accused Washington of exaggerating the impact of US strikes. The recent conflict derailed nuclear talks between the two countries, but President Donald Trump says Washington will be holding discussions with Tehran next week. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, traveling on the N1 South, we've got delays towards the Baklu interchange coming out of Midrand Allendale Road. There's also queuing traffic along Witkoppen Road approaching Woodmead Drive. This is in the Sunny Hill area. While traveling towards the south of Joburg, specifically M1 South, delays between the Kleine Bends towards the Empire Road exit, rather car exit, and this is due to a car that is stuck on the road. And traveling on the N12 as well as the R24 West, we still have got delays between Edenville Road and the Kilulis interchange. Please be on the lookout there and continue driving with care. We'll have more updates for you, but if you come across anything else on the roads, you are more than welcome to share those reports with us. We are on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
On 702.
9:33, this is the 702 open line. Let's go to your WhatsApps.
Hi, 702. I just wanted to say in 1994, 702 took a group of people to Mauritius. It was, I think, their 15th birthday. It was a lot of fun, and we were all very tired from the election. I think they should do something like that again sometime.
Good morning, Clement. It's Pat here from Sprayview. 702, happy birthday, 702. We came a long way. 702, we used to have membership, cards, okay? And every month we used to receive those 702 magazines. So those days we used to listen to Kaki Tubul, Kakale Majwe, Chris Gibbons, Jenny, the late John Becks, So until today, So Happy birthday, 702.
Yeah, happy birthday to Talk Radio 702. As I said earlier, tomorrow we are turning 45. Radio 702 is turning 45. And as I said, 702 is the bedrock for which Prime Media is a bigger business stand. So really proud to be part of the station. I'm sure from what you've said also so far, you've really enjoyed being part of the journey and being part of the 702 family. It's 25 minutes now before 10.
Your voice,
Your station.
your open line
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
So the suspended Road Accident Fund CEO, Collins Letswalo, has lost his bid to be reinstated from suspension. This judgment came quite late last night. The Gauteng High Court Judge Graham Mushwana ruled that the Road Accident Fund Board's decision to suspend Letswalo is lawful and rational. So Letswalo has now failed to even put up any evidence to the contrary. What he also wanted the court to do is to interdict the board from going ahead with appointing a new CEO. And the court has declined to interdict the process of recruiting a new CEO. So I had Collins Letswalo on Face the Nation last night, and he said whether he wins or loses this court case, he will apply for the job because, listen to this, he's the best in the world to do it. Here's what he said in his own words.
What's your next plan? I mean, if they're going to continue with this fight through, if they do make an advertisement for your post and they find another CEO, what's your next plan?
What is the other CEO going to do? Does it mean I can't apply? I'm going to apply.
You're going to apply?
I know this thing very well, Clement. There is no one in South Africa and globally, by the way, that can do this thing better than me. I believe that.
So that's what he said. Nobody globally can do this like I do. Didn't Claudio Mutswaneng? Yeah, Claudio Mutswaneng must have said something similar. He really reminds me of Claudio Mutswaneng. Remember what Claudio used to say about himself?
I lecture at the universities. I wonder how many people who are saying I'm uneducated. Even at the Vets Business School, I lecture, and my lectures about leadership, they have turned them as part of their syllabus. Who said I'm uneducated, chairperson?
By the way, that's a big lie. He doesn't lecture at Vets. I mean, they've turned some of his material and lectures as syllabus. Vets did respond back then in 2019 that it's not true that he lectures there. He was just part of a breakfast panel discussion. And at no stage did he lecture at Vets or that the material that he authored was used as part of the curriculum. So that was a big lie. But yeah, these are people who I don't know if there's an English translation to that. But people who think so highly of themselves that only them in the whole world can do what they do. Didn't Gayton Mackenzie also say something similar?
We'll rate ourselves very high. I'll rate myself 12 out of 10. Né? But the people, the people are happy. Haven't you seen we are winning in sports? Have you not seen? The Springboks are winning. The cricket team is winning. We have the strongest men. We're even winning in sheep shearing. There was Vernon Allison. We are a winning nation. You remember, I remember there was a time when they said we are a bunch of losers. Now we are a bunch of winners. You know, every day, and when you open your Facebook, we are winning. Because you have a Vavavu minister that helps inspire. Even Bafana's winning.
The Vavavu minister, that's how he describes himself. Yo, the mense. But the phone straight. It's 22 before 10.
Your voice,
Your station.
your open line
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
702 afternoons.
With Relebogile Mabota, 1 to 3 p.m.
Janine, and just ask, I mean, for as long as I can recall, having gone to a very British direction type of school, the four-leaf clover, we would do stuff on, what is the holiday called? With the
the March, which
yes,
is
St. Patrick's Day, that's the one. But just give us the basic history of why it's considered lucky?
The four-leaf clover is very rare. You can find lots of three-leaf clovers, but you can't find any four ones. And they're grown on their own. If you come across it, it stands on its own. And it basically represents hope, faith, love, and luck.
Oh,
So
I absolutely love that.
that's why the four leaves of the clover.
702 Afternoons.
With Relebogile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
The Market Theatre presents the South African premiere of Fraser Grace's award-winning play Breakfast with Mugabe, directed by the 2025 Standard Bank Young Artist for Theatre, Galvin Ratladi. The psychological thriller explores the troubled mind of the once revered leader as he battles inner demons and political paranoia. Don't miss this compelling production with its brilliant cast and searing dialogue on from the 16th of July to the 10th of August. Tickets available on web tickets or via markettheatre.co.za.
Year in, year out, we're fixing tires faster than a Formula One pit crew. My team is on top of things like tire whisperers. If an unforeseen accident were to happen in my workshop, at least I've got My Way business insurance to keep the wheels turning.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
Invest in peace of mind with the water tank from Cash Build. Store water for your garden, your home, your family, and save every drop. We have tanks of all sizes built to last so you can have water on demand. Plus, Cash Build offers free local delivery. Get your water tank at Cash Build today and start saving. Cash Build, quality building materials, tools, paint, and hardware at the lowest prices.
Cash Build. Our massive annual sale is finally here. Get to Dial-A-Bed today for up to 33% off a selection of our best brands like the 40 Winks Extra Firm Active Zone Queen Set, reduced to only $11,999. Shop in-store or online right now. Plus, get fast delivery on our best sellers. Dial-A-Bed, sleep for life.
As the official retail partner of the Springboks, Pick n Pay ASAP is proud to bring the pride of the nation to you. And give you the chance to be the ultimate smart supporter. Money or the box on 702. WhatsApp your name, ID number and the word ASAP to 072 702 1702. You could face the ultimate choice, a mystery Springbok supporter prize or Pick n Pay ASAP vouchers worth up to 2,000 Rand. It's time to show your box spirit. Money or the box with Pick n Pay ASAP. Friday on 702 Drive with John Perlman. T's and C's on primemediaplus.com.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
18 minutes before 10 o'clock. Oscar, you're calling us from Randfontein. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. Thanks for having me.
Sure.
Yes, Clement, I just want to say happy birthday to 702 and just share a bit of my history and experience with 702. I used to listen to 702 right from the beginning. When I was a young boy, that's the only station my father listened to. So I grew up listening to 702. And over the years, as I became a professional, I started working at Johannesburg City Park. And I was a spokesperson for City Park, so I became a regular on 702. I was the one that used to get all the tough calls from John Robbie and interviews on radio on the John Robbie show. So I have a lot of experience and fond memories with 702.
That's
we also used to host quite a number of events with 702 when we had park developments and park launches across the city of Johannesburg. We used to have 702 broadcasting from there. I remember one very fondly where we hosted Jody Scheckter, the ex-Formula One driver in Soweto. With Winnie Mandela, we had tree planting. It was quite a good relationship we had with 702.
That's amazing, Oscar.
And I have very fond memories. The interviews with John Robbie were not always easy. They were tough, but they were fair. I appreciated it because John Robbie kept us on our toes. Residents used to phone the station to complain about all sorts of things in parks, and I was usually the one who had to answer those questions.
Yeah, that's amazing. Oscar in Randfontein, thank you so much for your call. Stanley, you are also in Randfontein. What are your thoughts on what's happening with the DA now and the president?
Happy birthday.
Sure.
Mr. Manyathela.
Sure.
I think we are somewhat emotionally charged for this chopping of Andrew, Minister Andrew. First of all, my thinking tells me somewhere, somehow, Mr. Andrew was insubordinate. So the president had to use his prerogative right to exercise in order to chop him out. But when it comes to Simelane and Ngabane, I think the Simelane case, it's not yet finalized. I'm speaking under correction. Now, in order to avoid any conflict of interest, Simelane had to be moved from the Justice Ministry to somewhere else, right? Allowing that process to go on unhinged. Then to Mrs. Ngabane, the case is still ongoing. Surely we can't be moving around, chopping people without concrete evidence. That's my thinking. And given the president's attitude towards these things, he normally takes some time analyzing and doing all that is necessary before he can act. So with Minister Andrew, I don't think it's for the first time he's doing whatever that he did. But let's wait and see. We'll hear what are the causes.
Who else did he fire
this.
without giving them an opportunity to explain themselves?
Who else was supposed to be fired, Mr. Manyathela?
Actually, you're saying you don't think he's done it for the first time?
No, I'm saying with the president, he exercises, he is not reactive per se. He looks at the matters, the merits, and he acts. But if the merits or whatever, it's unjustifiable for him to act, he doesn't act.
But before,
And can we give him
what
that
he's done is
space?
he's given people an opportunity to explain themselves. Why
Like
wasn't
who,
this person like Tembing Kadimeng? He said, "Please give me a report of what's happening here. I'm worried about these allegations." He said to the Minister of Higher Education, "I'm worried about this. What's going on?" I mean, these are just recent ones. There are many. There are other examples in the past where the president, when there are allegations or something happens, he says, "Hey, here's an opportunity for you to come explain yourself. Why wasn't this? Why wasn't this deputy minister given a chance?"
Let's take case by case. Nkadimeng, he submitted a report. She submitted a report, isn't it? But did the court rule otherwise? Or is the matter sitting in any court? Because this is just an allegation.
Yeah, the matter is still, I mean, we don't know if she's going to be charged. Nobody knows. The Hawks are still yet to decide. But the man who gave her that money is currently standing trial for corruption, for fraud.
Yes, Clement, but what's the norm? You are presumed innocent until proven otherwise.
Absolutely. I'm not suggesting
But now,
the president...
if we're going to be excited, emotional, that the president must act. The president must act. If it suits us, he must act. But if it doesn't, even if he's going to act, we are preempting the outcome to say if he acts, we want him to.
No, we're not saying he must act, just fire. I'm asking about an opportunity to explain yourself. You are saying that matters are still ongoing, right? I'm saying he's given people an opportunity before to say,
to explain
I'm unhappy about what you've done. Or there are these allegations. Please come explain yourself. Why hasn't he done it with this deputy minister?
Hence, I'm saying Mr. Manyathela indicated earlier to say, we don't know what's the gist of the whole thing. We're only having a superficial knowledge of, no, the president chopped Mr. Andrew, whatever. But what are the causes? I mean, given the president's nature, I shudder to think that it was just the trip and that's it.
Then why is he not explaining that, even
no,
at least to the DA?
That. Given what is happening in the country now, And given what is at stake between the DA and the ANC, he will be propelled to explain.
I don't think so. Okay, let's say this then. Let's work on
Yes.
this now, right? Because this is the best scenario ever. Even people in the ANC will tell you that the president axed this deputy minister because he went to the US without permission. Do you agree, though, that if the president has fired this man for going to the US without his express permission, even though this guy asked for it and the president ignored him, do you agree, though, that it's unfair that he acts on him without giving him an opportunity to explain himself when he's done it with other ministers from the ANC?
Well, I'm tempted to say yes, but before I say that, Clement, do you or anybody else know what was the explanation given?
Wait. No, Stanley. Wait. I'm just saying, we don't know. We said we don't know the reasons.
We don't know.
I'm saying hypothetically.
Yes.
And I'm saying from what we know, even from speaking to people in the presidency, this is actually the issue. So hypothetically, if this is the reason the president has fired this man, do you accept that it's unfair because the president has dealt with matters differently before?
If that is the case, Clement, I'm prepared to say yes, this is very, very much unfair.
Okay, then let's wait and see. If the president then comes with some kind of a reason other than this, then let's have another conversation. But I'm glad we agree that if this is the very reason why the president fired this man, then it's completely unfair and riddled with double standards. 9 minutes before 10.
702 delivers
on the matters that matter to you.
My name is Sipati. I'm from Boxbeck. What I love about 702 is that it exposes us to the global community. So at the moment, if you are locally in South Africa or Africa, you get exposed to the US, the UK, because of the international exposures that we have. So thank you very much, 702, for exposing some of us who have never been out there in the world, but we see the global world, the global community through your eyes. Thank you, 702. Big ups.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
so we can deliver more on what matters to you.
702 listens.
Let's walk the talk.
Dive into a season of coziness with 20% off Granny Goose duck down duvets from At Home for a limited time. Shop the stream offer in Granny Goose and At Home stores or online at bash.com and get ready for a season of snuggling in, exclusive to TFG Rewards members. T's and C's apply. At Home, imagine more.
In 50 meters, turn left. You missed the turn.
Okay, technically.
Recalculating.
But the new Haval H7 loves a detour. It's off-road capable yet refined and even a little wild.
A little wild?
Write your own story in the new Haval H7 from $6,999 per month. Visit gwm.co.za for T's and C's and book a test drive. Go with more. Go with the new GWM Haval H7.
In 50 meters, make a U-turn.
Oh, shush.
It all starts with FNB Private. With secure, easy payments for a hassle-free overseas holiday. Tap, swipe, or go digital with your FNB Visa cards. Earn rewards when using your FNB credit card or global account debit and virtual card. You can even fund your global account on the FNB app while traveling. Make the most of every moment. Unlock invaluable with FNB Private. Help changes everything. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSP and credit provider. TC's earn rules and limits apply.
Hi there. I am Amahle, a stem cell donor. What started out as curiosity turned into an opportunity for me to save a life. Naturally, I was taken aback when I was found to be a match for a patient in need. In South Africa, over 4,000 people die of blood cancer each year. I donated stem cells and I was able to give someone else a second chance at life. Register to become a stem cell donor at kmsafrica.org. So you too can be a lifesaver.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
On 702.
7 minutes before 10 o'clock. Okay, so in the East End, thanks for your patience. Good morning.
Yeah, morning, Clement.
Sure.
I hope you're well.
I'm good. Go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to say happy birthday to 702. I've been a diehard listener since the days of John Kwelani, and I've always done 702 walking talks. And I used to listen to you say this a lot. And then now, obviously, I love your show. I think you're doing a stellar job.
Thank
So
you.
continue with the good work.
Are you coming to the Walk the Talk this year, Koget?
Yes, I am. I
Okay.
register every year.
I'll see you there.
I'm doing it this year. Yes, I'm doing it with my best friends. Yeah.
Perfect.
So I just wanted to say, I'll see you there, Clement. Definitely, I'll come up to you if I see you. I wanted to say, I think Cyril Ramaphosa did a good thing by firing this deputy minister. He shouldn't have been hired in the first place because economic transformation is a very critical agenda for the ANC. And allowing a DA minister to be a deputy minister when the DA has spoken out at every turn against transformation was actually really nonsensical in the first place. The guy shouldn't have been appointed. So firing him is a good thing. And I think Pakstau has actually what it takes because he did a very good job in Joburg. He has what it takes to be one of the potential guys that replaces Ramaphosa as the president of the ANC. I really, really think he's a good leader and he's on the right way in terms of the DTIC. So perhaps maybe he also felt he needed a stronger deputy minister who's on the same page in terms of economic transformation. Where we really need to change the demographic, Clement, of the people who are the business owners in this country. A lot of politicians always campaign and say people want jobs. Not everyone wants jobs. Some African people actually want to be business owners and own the means of production. So the DTIC is such a critical economic ministry that can unlock that and enable that to happen.
Okay, so in the East Rand, thank you for that. And in fact, John Steenhuisen believes that perhaps part of the reason that this man is being fired is that he's ruffled some feathers in the department. He suggested that this may have something to do with the questions that Andrew Whitfield has been asking about the Transformation Fund, about the controversial lotteries contract as well.
Clement, the relationship between DA and ANC, it's complicated, the young ones would say. And also, if your boss doesn't give you permission to say you can go ahead, go there or take leave or whatever, why did you go? Why did you go? And furthermore, why is the DA jumping around like kids? Why are they throwing tantrums? Didn't they go and vote against the ANC on the budget and whatnot? Why are they now wanting to throw tantrums? Mara DA by actor though.
Clement, the DA overplayed their hand. They shouldn't have made threats. There's nothing they're going to do. They're not about to leave the GNU. They're not about to name any scandal. Because even if they were to name a scandal, the first question the rest of us are going to ask is, you've been sitting there for a year, you knew about X and you didn't say anything. Surely it means you prefer to be called minister than to serve the public. So I think this was ill-advised and they've taken it a little bit too far because what they've done, they lose either way. They're going to lose voters, they're going to bleed voters either way. Because either they walk from the GNU and Cyril doesn't capitulate, or they stay put. Either way. If I was a party like FF+, I'd be printing out some new membership forms. This was a very, very, very silly move.
Yeah, it's very tricky because if the president responds to the ultimatum and fires some of the ministers within the next 48 hours, what kind of a president does that make him? Like, is it a weak president who's just going to be given ultimatums left, right, center? Does it not make him weak? Does that not set a precedent, which may be problematic down the line? But also, at the same time, the DA took a risk by also giving an ultimatum and threatening severe consequences if the president doesn't act. Because if the president doesn't act over the next 48 hours and they still stay in the GNU, and then they're going to come to you and say, no, we're putting South Africans first, then we're never going to take them seriously whenever they talk about red lines and ultimatums. So I'm looking forward to seeing if the DA really means it this time around when they say severe consequences. And I'm looking forward to seeing if the president will move based on this ultimatum and what that will mean for the future of this GNU.
Volksfest deals are back. Get a free upgrade to the Polo Vivo Life when you buy a new Polo Vivo and pay 0% deposit. Get more features at no extra cost. Buy it now and only pay 3 months later. Offer valid only through Volkswagen Financial Services. Looking for something sportier? The stylish T-Cross is yours from just 399,900 Rand. These Volksfest deals won't last. Visit your nearest dealer today or visit vw.co.za.
Beauty lovers, listen up. It's time to treat yourself because Takealot's month-end beauty sale is now on with savings of up to 50% off. That's right, fabulous beauty deals just for you. Revamp your look with their top winter skincare products and that perfect mascara to make your eyes pop. Or find your signature scent with luxury perfumes. Want that beauty spoil now? Well, get unlimited same-day delivery with Takealot More. Download the Takealot app and indulge in the month-end beauty sale.
So how can I help?
My tummy has been in a lot of pain lately.
Okay, Brian, let's see. So I can tell you 86 possible causes for your symptoms, but let's start with the basics.
Okay.
It could be stress, diet, stomach bug, but obviously it's cancer.
What?
All mild indigestion.
Okay.
No, I was right before. Yeah, cancer. I highly recommend you read these forums and watch this YouTube video. That may help.
Okay.
There's also a probiotic I can recommend that got a 4.6 star rating. If it's cancer...
Is this the end for me?
Well, there's maybe... No, definitely looks like you have.
Instead of consulting a medical professional, Brian asked Dr. Google. There's a better way to put your mind at ease. If you spot something, screen it the right way. Visit cancer.org.za for information you can trust.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Police say Bloemfontein teenager Kamogelo Baikudi, who was kidnapped, is safe. The 19-year-old was abducted more than 3 weeks ago by two men who posed as police officers. Baikudi was located in Vaperna, a small town in the Free State this morning. 5 people have been arrested. Mongezi Koko reports.
Police say the suspects were found at a house in Kanana location, while 2 others were intercepted on the road between Kwetla and Vepenar, with Kamogelo still in their vehicle. The arrests come on top of a 42-year-old police sergeant already in custody and charged with kidnapping and extortion. 6 men in total are now linked to the case. Free State Police Commissioner Lieutenant General Baile Motwenyane has praised officers for their relentless efforts. Spokesperson Mutantsi Machele.
The suspects are expected to appear in court on the 30th of June 2025.
For now, an investigation that's gripped the province is far from over. Monkey Zikoko, Eyewitness News.
Joburg residents are being urged to be cautious when using heating devices during a cold snap forecast for the next few days. More than 10 people have died from fire incidents across the metro since the winter period started. EMS spokesperson Xolile Khumalo warns residents to be mindful when handling fires and devices to keep themselves warm.
Please handle electrical appliances, open flames, flammable materials responsibly. Furthermore, we strongly advise community members not to leave children locked alone at home, as this poses a severe safety risk during emergencies.
The ANC says it cannot allow SACP members to sit in on its election meetings, as both organizations will be competing against each other. Last year, the SACP resolved to contest the upcoming local government elections alone and no longer under the ANC banner. Following the decision, the ANC and SACP announced they would not be asking their members to give up their dual memberships, as the alliance is still intact. However, at a recent election strategy session in Mpumalanga, ANC Deputy Secretary General Nomvula Mokonyane allegedly kicked out SACP members. Speaking at an ANC event in Kliptown, Soweto yesterday, Mokonyane said the party respects the decision of the SACP to contest alone.
You can't then allow ourselves to be Zoomified, where you sit with people who are going to contest and target the same constituency with you, planning with you on how to make sure that there's higher voter turnout, your candidate is the best candidate, and most importantly, we win the coming elections. There's nothing untoward.
And Iran has denied it is set to resume nuclear talks with the US after the end of a 12-day war with Israel and accused Washington of exaggerating the impact of U.S. strikes. The recent conflict derailed nuclear talks between the two countries, but President Donald Trump had said that Washington would be holding discussions with Tehran next week. But Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi shut down what he said was speculation that Tehran would come to the table and said it should not be taken seriously. Araghchi's denial came as Iranian lawmakers passed a binding bill suspending cooperation with the UN nuclear watchdog, the International Atomic Energy Agency. Gold is trading at $3,286.97 an ounce. The rand is at 17.86 to the dollar, 24.54 to the pound, 20.92 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $68.06 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got an accident on the M1 South before Car Street. It's causing delays coming out of the Kleine Bend. While travelling on the N1 South out of Midland, do expect delays between New Road and the Baklu interchange. And travelling in Bedford View or towards Bedford View, do expect some delays on the N12 as well as the R24 West between the Edenville Road exit and the Kilulis interchange.
A fine Friday in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 11 and 14 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Police say Bloemfontein teenager Kamokhelo Baikudi, who was kidnapped about 2 weeks ago, is safe.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. 702.
We're listening to you. You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app,
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
6 minutes after 10 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702. Thank you for your calls, your WhatsApps, and your tweets on the 702 open line this morning. Time now for our Across the Desk feature.
Across the Desk
with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
So today on our Across the Desk feature, I'm hosting people who have experienced near-death experiences. You know, when doctors say to people when they're in ICU or someone has just had a severe accident and they say you were gone for a bit, like they declared you clinically dead for a moment, and it's actually a miracle that you're back. And some people come back with fascinating stories of what they've experienced during the time when they were gone. And those are the stories that I want to bring to you today. And as I've been telling you over the last couple of months, there's a book that I started reading a couple of months ago, The Other Side by Sarah Bullen. It's a fascinating book about different accounts of people who have had near-death experiences, and during the time when they were clinically declared dead, and some were stuck in a coma for so long. It's so fascinating. I've told you before about it. I highly recommend it if you're interested in stories like that. I've absolutely learned a lot from the stories that I read about. So what happens when we come close to death and return with a story to tell? So my guests here have faced moments that most of us only read about, and they've come back changed. So I've got Godfrey Matlalate and Sarah Bullen, who are two South Africans with very different backgrounds, but are connected by this one extraordinary experience. They've experienced these events, and they'll tell us how they experienced them differently. You know, what they saw, what they felt, what they learned during those moments. Because it seems like, from what I've read about their stories, that has left a lasting impact, not only on their own lives, but on how they understand the world, faith, healing, and the human spirit. I want you to join this conversation, because when we have done our series, the series that we've been doing over the last couple of weeks about the afterlife, right? We've been doing a series on the show about what happens when we die, like looking at what different belief systems say or teach about the afterlife. And I've often gotten voice notes or calls from people who say, this is what I believe happens after we die because there was a time I had this experience, when I was sick in a coma. And that's when I almost came close to my maker. And if you have had experiences like that, I'd like you to give us a call on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. You can share your stories with us. Let me introduce you to my guest. I've got Godfrey Manyathela, who's in studio with us. Godfrey, how are you doing?
I'm very well, yourself, Clement.
Good. Thank you so much for making time to speak to us.
Yes.
We also have Sarah Bullen, who's joining us via Zoom, all the way from, is it Greece, where you are now, Sarah? Good morning.
I don't want to make you jealous, but I'm sitting on a Greek island on an olive farm in 30+ degree heat. Don't be jealous of me. Yeah.
Stop talking, Sarah. I am very jealous. Thank you so much for making time. And Sarah, I just have to say thank you as well for writing the book, The Other Side. I have absolutely enjoyed it. I've often told the listeners that, I love reading a lot. And this year, I've been reading a lot of like spiritual books, so books that are linked to some form of spirituality, because I believe I'm in some spiritual era of sorts. So I'm grateful that I landed upon your book. And this is what I believe, that the minute I made up my mind about I'm on a spiritual path, I land upon things that are spiritual. Whether I'm traveling, I'm somewhere, there's something that is spiritual that I'm going to experience. And even with your book, it literally just landed. And I was like, oh my God, what an appropriate book to read during this era of my life. So I've absolutely enjoyed it. So I'm really grateful that you've compiled all these stories about what different people have experienced when they were declared clinically dead. So thank you for that. So I want us to start with you. Maybe let's start off with just your own experience, because there was a time when you got sick, you ended up in a coma, and then that's when you experienced this. Can you just let our listeners know about that experience? What happened?
Right, and absolutely. So my book is really me standing on two bridges. The one is my own near-death experience, and the second is my own career as a journalist. And I really had to marry these two. My own near-death experience happened in 2012, so that's 13 years ago. I was 36 years old. I was an author already. I was running writing retreats. I was a literary agent. I was a magazine publisher. I'd had a very bad 4 years. And the reason I'd had a really bad 4 years was my husband had been dying of brain cancer.
Yeah.
For 4 years. And I didn't quite realize that I was immune system, I was vulnerable, I was exhausted, and I got a chest cold. I was a group editor of 10 magazines, and I got a little tickle in my throat. I got a chest cold. I got a sore throat. I messaged my publishing company. I said, I'll be back at work on Monday. Courier my laptop to my house, because in those days, we had to leave our computers at work. And I wasn't back at work on Monday. In fact, within 24 hours, I was in ICU, and I was wheeled in to the ICU unit. I was put on life support, and I was diagnosed with something undiagnosed, potentially double pneumonia. It was termed a bilateral lung blackout. And for the next 3.5 weeks, almost 4 weeks, I was in a coma on life support, fighting for my life. And at the same time, my husband was dying in his very last month of his life of brain cancer.
Yeah.
So while, Clement, while my body was lying on the bed in Constantiaberg in Cape Town, I had absolutely no awareness of that, because I had entered a very extended near-death experience. And for those of you who don't know, and we'll talk a lot about later, what is this near-death experience? Yeah. But what I knew was I was no longer in my body on the bed. In fact, I had no awareness that there was a body on the bed. In the book, I detail so many phases, because being in a coma for almost a month, when I went through deep transitions into what I call spirit worlds and other worlds. And initially, I was just in the hospital. So I was hanging around in the hospital on the ceilings, moving around, a deep sense of unease, a deep sense of being trapped, and a complete non-awareness of the sick person, the body lying on the bed with intubated. Over time, I left the hospital and I moved into what I call stage 2, and which was this being, this soul, this thing that was me, was still in the earth. So when I say on the earth, it was recognizable. There was horizons, there was sky, there was clouds, there was land. And I spent quite some time there.
Are you floating during this time?
Floating and floating around with no concept. So I wasn't a person. I had no idea of my name. I had no idea I was a mother of 2 young children. I had no idea I was a sister, a daughter. I was just a being floating quite aimlessly and quite uncomfortably. And this is quite a strange thing that you're going to find out about near-death experiences. It wasn't a blissful experience. So it was quite strange. I didn't know where I was. And this continued for quite some time. In my book, it's documented how long each of these stages were.
Yeah.
What happened next was, I'm going to call it a breakthrough. I left the physical world. I left this kind of any recognition of horizons or people or land or sky, and I entered another plane, another energetic plane. And this plane had beings in it. I didn't ever see them, but I heard and I knew there was awareness of a beautiful tribe of women. There was song and there was singing and there was love and there was music. And I had this very strong awareness that this plane I was in, I was there to say goodbye to my husband. So despite the fact I didn't know my name, I had no idea I was on a bed in hospital, I had no concept or consciousness above the moment.
Yeah.
I knew I was there to say goodbye to this person. And that was, I call that, I think, stage 3 of the near-death experience. And that was quite a blissful, beautiful place. But I moved on. I moved on from that. And then what happened was I started to just move further away from what we call anything recognizable. If I had to put words to it, which I do in the book, I say I moved into the deep universe, into the open, vast, endless universe, where there was awareness within me that I was one with all of it. I was a light being, and that there were other beings of light around me. There were vast distances between anything I knew or any familiarity. And it's there that I've really felt myself drifting just further and further away into this huge source energy of infinite universe.
Yeah.
I didn't see, Clement, I'm going to be specific, I did not see God. I did not see angels. No, I did not. I did not have a beloved, familiar face come and walk me over the line.
Yeah.
I didn't have any of that. And that disturbed me for a long time after this experience.
Yeah. So,
and it's there I stayed for a very long time. I was there. I was drifting. I was contented. I was, and yet there was this tiny little spark of awareness that I wasn't quite meant to be there. And it wasn't until, and really at the time, and in the medical world, they were making wills. They were saying, she's dying, he's dying. What are we going to do with the children? They were calling my family in. And what actually happened that changed everything is in the world, my family, my friends, my circles, my authors around the world, they had a group prayer session. And when I say prayer, I mean there were Hindus, there were Muslims, there were Jewish people, there were Christians, there were New Agers. They all sat for 1 hour and meditated. And when the hospital records are referred to and the Facebook thread that was kept there, the very next morning, I started a turnaround.
And later on, we'll get into what happens now when you come back into your physical being, that when that turnaround happens. Bra Godfrey, let me ask first, because you're a healer. How should I call you?
I think we're going to...
What should I call you?
We're going to shuttle between Godfrey Matlalate for the sake of identity.
Okay.
As well as I'm officially in my Mpande. I'm called Gogo Makepula.
Gogo Makepula. Okay. Yes. I want to make sure that I call it correctly. Let's talk about your story now as well. Yes. Just briefly, and people can read more about what happened, because you were a guy who's in corporate, and then you start getting sick, and then you have this experience. What do you recall happened?
Yes. I will just give a brief background before I zoom into the near-death experience. And in my case, I actually had two near-death experiences, which one happened in Feb 2000 and the other happened in November 2000.
Yeah.
So I left corporate around March 2000, reason being I'd only been in corporate for 8 years after varsity. But every day I spent in the workplace after 1996, 97, I was getting much more sicker by the day. Developed massive lethargy, was diagnosed with clinical depression in 1998. Attended 2 years of psychotherapy with a therapist somewhere in Houghton. And my employers were worried about me because I was a top performer, and they even visited my therapist to find out if I had a future in corporate and in the workplace, at which time she did assure them. So that was the build-up. And then if we go to the year 2000, whilst I was at work, me and my partner went for holiday in Moors in January because I had been spending most of December at the workplace finishing up on an agent project. We spent about 3-4 days there, and obviously when you're in Moors, it's seafood and it's the sea as well and the beach. Then within 4 weeks of coming back from Moors, I exhibited some very strange symptoms. I, involuntarily went into trance, and not so much the dancing trance, but a spiritual trance, which we normally say it's the Ndau trance. And I started that whole process of ukuhlehla without knowing what I was doing. I also started divining close members of my family who were around me. So it felt strange. And then when that trance receded in Feb, I felt as if I was choking. So for 3 consecutive nights, I slept outside next to the pool at my sister's house somewhere in the north of Joburg. I couldn't sleep indoors because whenever I went indoors, I was running out of breath, and out of air to breathe. Yeah. So during the last day of that, sleeping outdoors for 3 nights on a sleeping bag and all that, I levitated. I had an out-of-body experience, and I did definitely feel that my soul had left my body. And then I had a death wish. I think because of the illness and the pain and the headaches that I had suffered since 1996, 97, I had some sort of a death wish. And at that moment, I so much wanted to transcend to the other side.
Yeah.
And then came an instruction, a silent voice almost of an instruction.
This is when you're out of your body, right?
Yes, that was when I was out of my body, because I could actually see my lame body lying there.
Next to the pool.
Yeah, next to the pool. And I must have been floating about 4 or 5 meters higher than my body. And then came a set of specific instructions. And I think because I had a watch, this happened over about 2 hours. I was given so many instructions about my future, about my life. I was promised so much good things that would happen in the future.
Who's promising you these things?
It's like a silent voice, but very powerful. Because it's at some stage, apart from floating 5 meters above my body, I think at some stage I must have been floating in the clouds. And the sky that night was different. It had these nice, lovely golden clouds that I haven't seen in a while. So the voice sort of played me clips of what would be happening, 10, 15, 20 years into my life, into the future. They played me all these clips and also gave me instructions. And the final instruction that I was given was, you go back and heal your people. And they said, you're going to have such a lovely experience. And believe me, I was weighing maybe 50 kg and a bit underweight at the time, but surviving, going to work, in pain, drinking 17 tablets a day. So it all sounded very alien when that instruction came through that things were going to be fine. It was unbelievable. And then when I looked at my watch, when this set of instructions ended, it was 3 a.m. And there's something special about 3 a.m. in the healing world and what we call ancestral time. I was also shown a place not far from here, not too far from here in Melrose. There's a street in Melrose which is about 2 blocks away from Rosebank Mall. I walked along that street in the final stage of this journey of instructions, and jacaranda trees felt like Pretoria towards the Union buildings. Jacaranda trees, beautiful setup. But I'll talk about Melrose at a later stage.
Yes, when we come back from the break. It's 25 minutes now after 10 o'clock.
Thank you.
Ah, Shane, do you have a sore throat? The Andalex range of lozenges offers 2 options. At the first signs of an irritated, scratchy throat, use Andalex lozenges for dual action, soothing relief. But for a painful, inflamed throat, use Andalex C lozenges for triple action, pain relief. Andalex, SA's #1 choice for a sore mouth and throat. Andalex lozenges are available at all leading pharmacies and supermarkets.
Just Andalex it.
Want to celebrate Women's Day in style? Then get your tickets as Grammy Award-winning singers Anthony Hamilton and Joe Thomas came. In fact, they're coming together to celebrate the incredible Women of Mzansi on the 9th of August, happening at the iconic DP World Wanderers Stadium in Sandton. They'll be joined by South Africa's multi-award-winning singers, the incomparable Zonke, Java, and Vusi Nova. Get your tickets now on CompuTickets or webtickets.co.za. Brought to you by Soulful Night, Vetex Events, and 702.
Psst. Hey, no longer feeling like the man you used to be? The man who introduces himself and people say, I know. The fact is, 95% of men with low testosterone go untreated. Vitamin High Performance Supplements for men helps recharge energy, regain lean muscle, and reload performance. Available at all good pharmacies and Vitalamin.co.za. Vitalamin. Don't get older. Get better.
Welcome to the Chamberlain Hotline. Press 1 for heaters, 2 for expert DIY advice, 3 for deals hotter than your geyser.
Or press 4 for all the above when you visit your nearest Chamberlain for our famous for warming your homes promotion. Get everything you need to make winter warmer from the 19th of June to the 6th of July, plus 10% off Chamber Value paint mixing and a free hot chocolate while you wait. Chamberlain, famous for hardware since 1903.
This isn't just a walk, it's a journey through memory, through meaning. The 702 Walk the Talk, hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane, returns on Sunday, the 27th of July. Walk from the hollowed grounds of Freedom Park to the southern lawns of the Union buildings and past some of our capital city's most iconic landmarks. Choose from 8 kilometers, 6.7 kilometers in honor of Mandela Month, or 4 kilometers for something lighter. Entry is 360 Rand for adults and 200 Rand for kids under 12. There's no parking at the start or end, so book your park and ride from Joburg or Pretoria when you enter. Sign up on primemediaplus.com. 702 Walk the Talk, hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane. Walk with meaning. Walk with us.
Across the desk
with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
7 minutes after 10 o'clock. Before we get to the headlines, and we still have, of course, the whole hour to chat to Sarah and Godfrey Madlalate. Sarah, I just want to ask quickly, what happens then when you now come back? You said you were drifting from this place. Now you're coming back into your physical body. Were you still sick there in ICU? And did you remember exactly what happened? Right. What did the doctors say?
Right. Well, you know, in the book where I gather so many more near-death experiences, you're going to see there's so many ways people come back. But for me, it was a fight. I had this awareness suddenly that I had to fight my way back to something. I didn't know what it was yet, but I knew I had to fight. It was for life, it turns out. And I woke up, you know, I did. I gently came out of a coma. What you see on TV of somebody waking up is not what happens. You fight your way into consciousness and you fall back under. One little thing that happened to me when I was just on my way back into my body is I had a visit. The first person, thing being, let me call it, that came to me was with me in the hospital. I call it in my book a spirit guide. I call him the forest man. I'd been alone before that. And this small being really helped me get back into my body, I was going in and out. And he stayed with me. And I write in my book and in my previous book that just before he left me, when I was sort of being back into consciousness, he gave me a message to take forward. He kissed me on the forehead and he said to me, I asked him, what must I do? Much like Godfrey did. What's my role in the world? And he said, have more fun. And it was just such a weird thing. It was such a strange message. And I woke up 3 days after I woke up, my husband passed. He was in a coma in another hospital and he left his body. And I was physically hugely impaired. It took me 3 months to, start to speak again. I had to learn to breathe again. I had to learn to walk again. After being in a coma for so long, you have no muscle. You've been fed by tubes. So my physical fight was so massive, and yet, despite all of this unbelievably, searingly vivid experience was so clear, so profound. And then the journalist in me, as soon as I could actually get my fingers moving, because I had to relearn motor skills, I sat down and I typed the whole story out, blow by blow by blow, and I ultimately submitted it to a near-death experience journal.
Yeah.
And Clement, I didn't do anything with it. I just banked it because something so much bigger had happened. My husband had died. We had funerals. There was mourning. And I was just sitting with this very strange story. And in the book, you're going to see that this is very common. Nobody says to you, oh, by the way, you died for 21 minutes and we resuscitated you.
Yeah.
It's not what happens. So with many people who've had near-death experiences, they just know something happened, something very mystical, something very spiritual, and that takes them a lot of time to piece it together and start to investigate and start to ask questions. And some people don't even go there or ask those questions. They just move on.
I've got so many other questions. We'll get into them after the headlines. It's 10:31. When we come back, we'll also hear from Godfrey when he then comes back. What did he experience? And he'll tell us as well more about that street that he saw when he was out of his body. Which is in, did you say it's in Melrose? In Melrose. All right, let's get the latest now. Sfiso, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. Crime intelligence boss Dumisani Khumalo is expected to appear in the Pretoria Magistrates Court today. Khumalo was arrested yesterday on charges of fraud and corruption. The National Union of Mine Workers says it hasn't taken a decision on plans to support the SACP at next year's local government elections as a rift between the ANC and its alliance partner widens. This is among decisions meant to be taken on the final day of the NUM's 18th National Congress in Boksburg, which happened last night, where the union elected new leadership. And Japan has executed a man who killed 9 people in 2017, the first time since 2022 that the country has enacted capital punishment. The serial killings by Takahiro Shirashi, dubbed the Twitter killer, had shocked the country and triggered debate over how suicide was discussed online. Those are the headlines this EWN, and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Heading towards Mulville's Drift, there's some delays along the N1, N14 South approaching Malibongwe Drive. Please be on the lookout there. While travelling on the N12 West in the Bedfordview area, delays between the Edenville Road exit and the Kilulis interchange. In the CBD, we've got an accident reported. It's on the M2 East. It happened right at the Crown interchange, and it's slowing down traffic as you come out of Main Reef Road. While travelling in the city of Tshwane, we've got nothing major reported along the N1, or rather the R80. But if you are travelling along the R80, please be on the lookout for a slight backup just as you approach Eskiampahlele exit. I'll have more updates for you. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
If you knew the future, you'd be brave.
Well, now you can be with Volvo's guaranteed future value. Get your EX30 from 9,999 per month, and after 48 months, return, upgrade or keep. It's safe to be brave with Volvo. Based on 6.13% interest, 48-month term, 10% deposit and 52% GFE. Initiation fee of 1,207.50 and monthly service fee is 69 Rand. Total cost of credit is 904,500. Finance officer subject to approval from Volvo Car Finance, a product of Westbank, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider. NCRCP 20. T's and C's apply.
Hey, honey, look. Went to the shops, like you asked, and it was the Deco Fern birthday sale. Picked up this amazing 3-seater sofa for only $5,599. And this coffee table, just $489. Oh, and this gorgeous standing mirror for like $699.
Wow, I just asked you to get some milk.
Get deals worth celebrating at Deco Furniture's epic birthday sale with 10 to 40% and more of everything in-store or online now at decofurnsa.co.za.
Welcome to Nando's Customer Care. How can I help you?
Finally, can I actually just speak to the manager? It's about the chicken. Why did you marinate it for 24 hours? 24 hours, 86,400 seconds to marinate. Why? Well, I mean, it is really tender, juicy, and that delicious Nando's peri-peri flavor just warms me up. And then you add any 3 sharing sides, and I guess, well, there is nothing like it. But that is my complaint. I can't complain.
Nando's, fire it up.
Our massive annual sale is finally here. Get to Dial-A-Bed today for up to 33% off a selection of our best brands, like the 40 Winks Extra Firm Active Zone Queen Set, reduced to only $11,999. Shop in-store or online right now. Plus, get fast delivery on our best sellers. Dial-A-Bed, sleep for life.
As the official retail partner of the Springboks, Pick n Pay ASAP is proud to bring the pride of the nation to you and give you the chance to be the ultimate smart supporter. Money or the box on 702. WhatsApp your name, ID number and the word ASAP to 072 702 1702. You could face the ultimate choice, a mystery Springbok supporter prize, or Pick n Pay ASAP vouchers worth up to 2,000 Rand. It's time to show your box spirit. Money or the box with Pick n Pay ASAP. Friday on 702 Drive with John Perlman. T's and C's on primemediaplus.com.
Across the desk
with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
All right, 24 minutes now before 11 o'clock. I've got some of your calls coming through, your WhatsApps as well, sharing your own experiences with us. For those of you that have had near-death experiences, we'll get to them in a moment. Let me just get Godfrey Madlalate to just finish off the story about what happened when he came back now into his body, and tell us about the street also in Melrose as well.
Yes.
Can I also ask this? Were you a believer before? Like, were you... did you follow any religion? Did you follow African spirituality? What was the context?
Yes, my context is that I grew up in a Christian family.
Yeah.
Just normal Christian family. I was baptized at the Presbyterian Church when I was in high school, and then I went to the University of Cape Town in 1986, and by 1988 I was converted to becoming a very fully born-again, charismatic Christian with the Baptist Students' Union.
So didn't you feel some form of its complexity around what you are now being told?
Yes.
Because then that teaches you something different, and what you're experiencing now is also contrary to what the other side teaches, sort of.
Absolutely, because between 1988, with my born-again experience, and 2000 October, when I went to train as a healer, technically, I was a Christian that whole time. And the one thing that I know is that with my colleagues and peers in the Christian sphere, they actually, all of them were convinced that I had backslidden.
Yeah.
And I had a very guilty feeling when I answered to the calling.
And how did you reconcile that then? How did you get to a point where you're at peace with your Creator, knowing that this is my calling, but that doesn't still move me away from my belief here?
Yes. Prior to the calling, I didn't even have time to reconcile my transition from being born again to being a trainee healer. But post-training and post my homecoming, it took about 3-4 years of research of African traditional religion. and its precepts, and as well as just my own intuition to accept and be comfortable with my new position.
Yeah.
When I was at UCT, by the way, I was a student activist, and apart from the Baptist Student Union, I was a member of another Christian youth group, which was driven by the precepts of contextual theology.
Yeah.
They used to call them the young YCS, the Young Christian Students. And I've got very deep views on the subject.
Yeah. So just quickly then on Melrose, before I go to the calls, you were shown the street in Melrose.
Yes.
What was the symbolism there? What was the meaning?
I was shown a street in Melrose, and as I said, with all the clips that came through, the street in Melrose was going to be part of my future life path, and it was going to provide a lot of answers. And I just got goosebumps now, 2 seconds ago, because it actually also relates to 702. So my homecoming because I spent almost a year in Rustenburg training. So my homecoming was August 2001. So that was my homecoming. Then I started working independently, practicing as a traditional health practitioner, traditional healer, basically. Within a year, one or two of my close spiritual connections made an appointment for me with a lady called Rosa, who's a clairvoyant, who used to be on 702 before your days. I think it was back in the days of John Bex and John Robbie and those people.
Yeah.
Yes. So Rosa was an elderly lady who was a clairvoyant, and I think she used to have a slot on 702, if I remember. So incidentally, with my friend Midday from the Free State, she gave me contacts for Rosa, and I made an appointment. So I went to have a reading with Rosa in early 2002 after my return from training school. And, I was using public transport. So I alighted from Rosebank Mall.
Yeah.
And then as I was looking for the address on the GPS, bang, there's road.
This road.
Yeah, and it must have been 11 in the morning, but it was such a magical experience.
Wow.
And Rosa then, being a clairvoyant and being a spiritual worker that she connected me to my late granny, to my dad.
Yeah.
She then also replayed a scene of my birth, because I was born at home in Mofulo in my mom's bedroom. My mom didn't have to go to Bara those days. I was born at home. So she replayed all those scenes, and I think at some stage we had such a massive influx of energy between me and Rosa. I got quite dizzy during that reading.
Sure. Yeah, that's fascinating. Let's go to some calls now. Rashid, you calling us from Johannesburg. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, Rashid. Go ahead. Have you had an experience like this before?
Hi. I was just listening to Sarah Bullen, your interview with her, and it was actually like it was a surreal experience, because what she was speaking about was exactly what I went through, just a lot more and a lot more intense. I was in a coma for 4 months. 2021, went in at January 2021. I got admitted to hospital because of severe COVID, pneumonia, double pneumonia. I was on a ventilator, was on ECMO machines, life support for that 4 months duration.
Yeah.
In that 4 months, condition just deteriorated, and I was, but when she spoke about floating around the hospital, being sort of like not aware, but just floating around and going on these journeys and experiencing things. It was just very insightful, as you can imagine. Hearing somebody else's experience, and it sounds very much
like what you
exactly like what I experienced.
Yeah. Did you meet anyone during that experience, Rashid, or you were just floating and you saw your body there in hospital?
I did. I'm a very family-orientated person, so my wife and my children were very big parts of my journeys that I was going on. My brother, my sisters, my late dad, my late mom, they were all there. I was going on these I'm going to call it adventures, with them, with my kids. And it was just recurring because you're in a coma for so long. These dreams are just recurring and they just go on and on and on. It was absolutely, you don't know whether what is happening, because the last thing you remember is the day before you actually went into the coma.
Yeah. Sure. Rashid in Johannesburg, thank you for sharing that story with us. Here's some of the WhatsApp voice notes that came through.
Good morning, Clement. I can relate to the subject. I just want to say it doesn't only happen when one is sick. It also happened during your sleep. I felt it a couple of times where I would literally feel my body separating from my spirit. My spirit was on the ascending, leaving everything behind. It's quite distinctive from a dream. It's quite different, Clement. It's more of you are flirting with destiny on the other side. It's more of you are negotiating your path, whether to go forth or remain behind. This is Maklaku from Richards Bay. Thank you.
Good morning, Clement and the listeners. It's TJ, the truck driver here. My nephew was assaulted on 16 December when they were having fun in some park. He was unconscious when he arrived at the hospital. His chest was swollen, and then the doctors didn't know what to do, and there was no heartbeat. At the end, one of the nurses pieced his chest, and there was air coming out like a flat tire. And then he woke up. When he woke up, he told them that he was at the other world. And when he was supposed to get inside the gate, his grandfather appeared and said, "No, go back. You are too young to come here." By the way, his grandfather is deceased. Wow. So his grandfather told him, no, go back. You are too young to come here. That is when he woke up at the hospital. What an extraordinary story.
Morning, Clement. Thank you so much to both of your guests for this interesting topic about near-death experiences. Can you just ask your guest, what does she mean she had to fight to be conscious? What did that battle look like or feel like? It's quite interesting because you tend to find people that are in a coma and sleeping. They just open up their eyes and it doesn't feel like they've been fighting. That's quite fascinating. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, thank you for that. Sarah, if you can just explain that. I want you to also, because you spoke to many people who have had this kind of experience, what is the common thread that you've picked up? Because what I enjoyed about the stories is how different they are. Like whether you're a Christian or you're a Muslim, you're a non-believer, you're atheist, and whatever you consider yourself, the people are having their different experiences, but there's almost like there's also like some commonalities there. What did you pick up from the stories you compiled?
Yeah, and I'll come back to the fighting question. After my personal experience, I started to talk about near-death experiences. I'm an author. I was already talking at events. I started speaking more and more, and people started to come to me and share theirs. And I started to realize there's a lot of books with Western concepts of what is a near-death experience. There's loads out there, but I couldn't find everything that was African. So either Southern African or in general African. So that was where I set out to step out of my my own experience. And I wanted to know, did other people have this strange thing? I was referencing, there was a huge book called Proof of Heaven. And very much these have a similar arc that's quite well documented. It's going up a tunnel, there's a beautiful light, there's a being at the other side. There's some steps that always happen that are fairly well recorded in both science and in mystical texts. Very often, and Godfrey even spoke about that, there is a meeting of a person who is a supreme intelligence or a person of, from another realm. Very often there's something in these experiences, and this is one of the 21 things that make this a near-death experience. There's there is often a reckoning. So it can be called a reckoning. It can be called a book of life. Some people call it the Akashic Records. Some people call it, there's other names and they've escaped me, a council of elders. There's somewhere or some place in which you're either asked to account for your life or you personally account for your life. So there's so many variations. And I set about saying, well, are there different variations in Africa? And of course there are, because I found we very much are a product of our upbringings, of our environment, of the land we live in, of the food we eat, the air we breathe, the water we've drunk. So I found that firstly, it didn't really matter whether you are religious or not. Near-death experiences are a profound and strange mystical experience. So I've had complete atheists get hold of me, and it doesn't mean the experience is dissimilar. There's Christians, there's a Kabbalic rabbi who's crossed over, there's traditional indigenous people, and the stories differ, but the feeling is very similar. And the feeling is very much often that there's some awareness that we are connected.
Okay. Yeah, and quickly, that response to the fighting back, what did you mean by that?
I'm going to use the word fighting because it's so hard to translate mystical things or spiritual things. For me, it was literally a physical fight. I almost had visions of ancient dragons and epic quests and battles and swords. It was my brain's way of giving me images to interpret this kind of fight back to life. And that's also how I see the different images we get when we have these near-death experiences. Our brain can only process things in particular ways, which is what science will tell us about this very well-studied field called near-death experience.
Yeah, 10 minutes now before 11.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
We are turning 45. Jenny, Chris, Williams, how transformative was 702 when you started talk radio?
We were in the middle of a revolution and it was so exciting and everyone was available. I remember phoning the ANC offices. I needed to speak to Jessie Duarte and a guy answered. He said, no, she's not available. And I said, can you take a message? I'm phoning from 702. And he said, yes. And I said, who am I speaking to? And he said, Thabo and Becky.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
The Market Theatre invites you to breakfast with Mugabe, the South African premiere of the award-winning psychological play. Haunted by a vengeful spirit, Mugabe reluctantly seeks the help of a white psychiatrist, leading to a tense and dangerous power struggle. Accept sharp dialogue and riveting performances in this fictional take on the once revered leader. Don't miss Breakfast with Mugabe from the 16th of July to the 10th of August. Tickets available on web tickets or via markettheatre.co.za.
We are woven into the same soil that shapes South Africa. Its dreams, its energy, its promise. These guide us. Together we've built progress, hand in hand, from the mines to bustling main streets, from one generation to the next. With communities, government and partners, every initiative from healthcare to education, youth empowerment to entrepreneurship lights the way forward. Because we don't just mine minerals, we mine possibility and progress with purpose. Together, we're shaping what's next. Mining potential, building beyond. Anglo-American.
Doll, you know you can't tell us anything, hey? You realize we can see all these men bringing you gifts at all hours, right?
Sorry?
Sweetie, we know about your weakness for men in uniform.
Excuse me? Those men in uniform work for one cart, and they understand my needs. Michelle, they shop the entire mall for me, like Macro, Lint, Toy Kingdom, and more. Maybe you should download OneCart and get your needs delivered in 60 minutes.
Across the desk
with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
7 minutes before 11 o'clock. I'm going to come to your calls now in a moment. I want to ask Bra Godfrey, what have you learnt about your experience? So when you came back, did you have a different viewpoint about life? What was your takeaway?
Yes. I think with the first near-death experience in Feb, and by the way, the second one, just before I answer your question, the second near-death experience happened inside ePhetlweni whilst I was training as a healer. I was only a month there, so very new to the systems of healing and the potions that we use and drink. That very ancestor that gave me a lot of hardship when I came back from Moz, came back, but this time this ancestor comes back and I'm right inside training with my traditional mentor and 9 other initiates. So for a period of about a week, 3 terrible things happened. I wasn't sleeping at night. So my body was just working flat out 24/7. I was in a very strange state of consciousness. I wasn't eating because I would have serious problems when I was trying to eat. And I wasn't bathing. So, I went through that trauma for about a week as I was interacting with this very spirit. And then by the end of day 5, my Gobela realized that I was losing body temperature. So, because I wasn't eating, obviously, and sleeping, So, my feet were cold, my hands were cold. I literally had temperature in the upper body, in the cardiac region. And then she requested a transport to take me to the local clinic. Must have spent 3 to 4 hours there. They were trying to revive me body temperature wise. I wasn't clinically dead or anything. I was semi-conscious, but in a very heightened state of consciousness. So they did keep me warm with thermal blankets and whatever else, and the machines that they used. And I think they gave me some drips and some medication. Then I think there was a time, maybe 30 or so minutes, when I was totally out, And when I woke up from that experience, there were like 10 people looking at me from a hospital bed. And I'm told, because that I went into another trance. And in this trance, I spoke a very strange language that even the white doctors at the clinic couldn't interpret. They said it was of Eastern European origin. And this is an ancestor that I kept on interacting with even in later months when I was now back to normality. So that was the second part of the trance.
Did you ever find a link between that Eastern European, any roots in the family?
Yes, we have very pale people. When I say pale, I mean white people, but in terms of complexion, but being black people in the Matlalate family. It's a very unique lineage, but very few of them.
So there's like an ancestral link of sorts.
There is an ancestral link, yes. But beyond that, just to come back to your question, my biggest lesson derived from both near-death experiences as well as my journey, which is now 24 years old in healing, is that first, and I don't want to sound controversial because this is a public platform, but I believe in reincarnation. I believe that we live many times and that each lifetime that we come through, we come through basically to make things even better from the previous lifetime. And I think that at some stage I was transcending between lifetimes and that my life purpose wasn't fulfilled. And that is why I was turned back during the Feb near-death experience as well as the one in November. And the one in November was more intense in the sense that I had to be aligned to what I was doing at Epetlweni in terms of my training, deliverables. Yes.
And Sarah, for you, what would you say is the biggest lesson from what you experienced?
Yeah, I'm going to come back to that message I got from the spirit guide, the forest man, the strange and weird sentence, which was have more fun. And, over the last decade, since I've lived into my experience and what it meant, I've come to realize that this human life, this journey in this body, however long it may be, 7 years, 70 years, I don't know, it's to embody, it's to be in it, to enjoy it, to laugh, to cry, to eat, to hug, to kiss. So that's really shifted my whole space of living. It's why I'm sitting on a Greek island for a month every summer with my authors who come and write their books with me. It's determined the choices I make, because I don't really know what happens when I leave this body and disappear into the next realm or not. But I do know that I have this. And to be with it. I think that's, and I'm going to use the words of one of my interview subjects in the book, Glenn Douglas Haig, who was shot 7 times and died for 21 minutes in the ambulance on the way to Sunning Hill Hospital. And when I asked him, Glenn, why did you come back? And he said, for the whiskey and the sex.
I remember that line. Sarah, thank you for making time. Godfrey, Gogo Makepula, I really appreciate your time. Appreciate your time, Sarah, as well. Go read Sarah's book, guys. It's amazing. The stories that are being compiled there. It's titled The Other Side. Thanks to both of you for making time for us.
I'm Dealer here with more than just a betting app ad. Download the 10Bet app and enjoy the action of betting anytime, anywhere. It's more than just an app. It's a 10Bet experience. Join now at 10bet.co.za. 10Bet is a licensed betting operator and supports responsible gambling. No person under the age of 18 shall be permitted to bet. Betting can be addictive. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line is 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
We are woven into the same soil that shapes South Africa. Its dreams, its energy, its promise. These guide us. Together, we've built progress hand in hand, from the mines to bustling main streets, from one generation to the next. With communities, government, and partners, every initiative from healthcare to education, youth empowerment to entrepreneurship lights the way forward. Because we don't just mine minerals, we mine possibility and progress with purpose. Together, we're shaping what's next, mining potential, building beyond. Anglo-American.
Are you ready to save even more on brands you love at Dis-Chem? The more you buy, the more you save when you stock up on selected Unilever personal care brands such as Vaseline, Dove, Lux, Pond's, Radox, and more. Get 15% off when you buy one product, 20% off when you buy 2, and a massive 25% off when you buy 3. T's and C's apply. Hurry, Unilever deals end 13 July, only at Dis-Chem. Better health starts here.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Crime intelligence boss Dumsani Khumalo is expected to appear in the Pretoria Magistrates Court today. Khumalo was arrested yesterday on charges of fraud and corruption at OR Tambo International Airport. According to News 24, Khumalo was arrested in connection with alleged unlawful senior appointments. The National Union of Mine Workers says it hasn't taken a decision on plans to support the SACP at next year's local government elections as a rift between the ANC and its alliance partners widens. This is among decisions meant to be taken on the final day of the NUM's 18th National Congress in Boksburg, which happened last night, where the union elected its new leadership. But those talks have now been postponed to a special Congress, which is expected to take place within a month. Tandoluhle Ngobo reports.
The Communist Party has for some time now threatened to pit itself against its alliance partner, the ANC, at the general and local government elections in a move that could further rock the boat in an already volatile tripartite alliance. In its Congress documents, the NUM again shared its frustrations about the ANC's decision to go to bed with the opposition in the government of national unity. Despite claims the union had drawn a line in the sand, NUM spokesperson Libuwano Mamburu says Congress members will have the final say on how the COSATU affiliates will vote at the municipal elections.
The Congress has taken a decision that we are going to reconvene a special Congress next month to deal with issues of resolutions and commissions. So that is where that resolution of whether to support the SACP or not is going to be discussed.
The SACP is expected to use the upcoming by-election in Ward 13 in the Polokwane municipality in Limpopo as a litmus test when it fields its own candidate. Thandul Shengcobo, Eyewitness News.
Meanwhile, the ANC says it cannot allow the SACP members to sit in on its election meetings, as both organizations will be competing against each other in the upcoming local government elections. At a recent election strategy session in Mpumalanga, ANC Deputy Secretary General Nomvula Mokonyane allegedly kicked out SACP members. Speaking at an ANC event in Kliptown yesterday, Mokonyane said that the party respects the decision of the SACP to contest alone.
You can't then allow ourselves to be Zumbafied, where you sit with people who are going to contest and target the same constituency with you, planning with you on how to make sure that there's higher voter turnout, your candidate is the best candidate, and most importantly, we win the coming elections. There's nothing untoward.
And Japan has executed a man who killed 9 people in 2017, the first time since 2022 that the country has enacted capital punishment. The serial killings by Takehiro Sharishai, dubbed the Twitter killer, had shocked the country and triggered debate over how suicide was discussed online. Sharishai, then 30, lured his victims, most of them young women between the ages of 15 and 26, to his apartment before strangling and dismembering them. The killings came to light in 2017 when police found body parts in the Japanese city of Zama near Tokyo when they were searching for one of the victims. Gold is trading at $3,286.97 an ounce. The rand is at 17.86 to the dollar, 24.54 to the pound, 20.92 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $68.06 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays along the N1 South. This is between Allendale Road and the Baklu interchange. Traveling in the east of Joburg, delays along the R24 east towards west, between Edenville Road and the Kilulis interchange. There's also queuing traffic along the N3 South between the Kilulis turn off and Van Buren Road.
A fine Friday in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 11 and 14 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Crime intelligence boss Dumsani Khumalo, accused of fraud and corruption, is expected to appear in the Pretoria Magistrates Court today.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. 702 Walk the Talk, hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane, is where footsteps become footprints.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app,
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
7 minutes after 11 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the third and final hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702. And time now for adult radio. Time for our relationship and sex feature. If you've got little kids in the car, I will advise that you maybe give them some headphones because this is adult radio. We're talking about sexual health today on our relationship and sex feature.
Relationship issues,
relationship talk
on 702.
So we have been doing this biannual where we do a sexual health Q&A with Professor Shingai Mutambirwa, who is an urologist and head of department at Dr. George Mokari Academic Hospital, and Dr. Mpume Zenda, sexologist and OBGYN. These are top sexual health experts that I bring on the show in studio. In fact, this year, I said we must do it 4 times a year. Is this the first time we're doing it this year?
You've been gallivanting, Clint.
Yeah, we'll come to work occasionally, okay?
We work.
I'm being
we
called out
we don't
by
know
my
about you.
guests on my show. Okay, I want us to do it 4 times a year, so we must still do it. If this is the first time we're doing it, then we must do it again 3 more times. So I bring them in studio, and then you call in. You call in to ask them any question you have, right? Any health-related, sexual health-related question, you can give us a call right now on 011-883-0702. You can send us a WhatsApp voice note on 072-702-1702. It could be about anything, guys, from contraception, STI screening, treatment, fertility-related issues, sexual functioning, whatever you've got questions about. Maybe performance and pleasure, anything. Give us a call or send us a WhatsApp voice note. As I always say, I think sexual health is fundamental to our overall health and well-being as individuals, as couples, so we must take it seriously. Thank you so much, guys, for coming through. Prof and Dr. Zenda, how are you guys doing?
So good.
Yeah,
Great.
excellent.
Haven't seen you guys in a while.
Yeah, we repeat.
And but
I was about to say, I'm like, can you come to work, please?
But I'm glad you guys are here because I've missed you. And I would say to Sinazo, when are they coming? It's like, but you're not here next week.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I'm glad we're finally doing it. Okay, so I'm going to start as always with just some of the questions that we normally get that are some sort of common, right? And some of the questions that we got from the last time that we couldn't answer. I'll start there and then we'll get to the calls and the WhatsApp voice notes. And the first question that we have here that we compiled from the last chat is, how does age affect my sexual performance or desire?
Ooh.
So both from a woman's perspective, from a man's perspective.
So age is a really big deal. But over and above that, it has to do with how well also you have taken care of yourself in terms of lifestyle. If you're looking at in terms of peak sexual function, so to speak, on the basis of hormones and things.
Yeah.
Fertility as well. In your 20s and in your 20s and early 30s, you're probably doing very well in terms of the levels of your hormones and so on. But there are other things that come to play, whether it is reproductive health. So, for example, pregnancy, that will affect your sexual health. In particular, when you start hitting above 35 years of age, then a lot of your hormones, nice hormones, your estrogen, testosterone, progesterone starts to decline. And this has an impact in terms of not just function in terms of physical, because yes, definitely it decreases your energy, your libido and so on, but also your physical change of your body in terms of how you look. A lot of people, you'll find that you're not as, if you were doing 22 rounds, 2-3 rounds per night or per session in your 20s, your energy is not that much. The big thing when it comes to women is the perimenopause and the menopause phase. What I love particularly, and I hope a lot of women can take this, is that there is sort of like this juxtaposition between a lot of women tend to come to their own around that age, so above 35 or so. You start being comfortable, you start knowing what you want, which helps. That speaks to a lot to do with sexual intelligence and emotional intelligence in terms of how you approach sexual health or your sexuality. So you are more like sure about what you like and what you don't like. But on the flip side, your body is kind of going in a different direction in terms of things like lubrication, in terms of desire and your libido and so on. So it's always important to just take good care, take stock of what is happening to your body, where there are changes. Go and see a healthcare professional. Let's, whether we're thinking, hormone replacement therapies and things like that. And it's okay. Don't expect to be having the same kind of sex you were having in your 20s, in your 40s, in your 50s. But sexual pleasure in itself, you can enjoy regardless of what age you are.
Does it get better with age?
I think it does. I totally think it does.
She winks and says that.
She's only 20. That's No, I think just to jump on what Mpumi is saying is that I think we to put it medically, with sexuality is a bio, psycho, social, cultural, personal affair. All of these impact on how well you're going to feel sexually. And so even though, like Mpumi was talking about how females go into menopause eventually, the data actually shows that females' prime sexual activity is around the ages from 40 to 43. just as they're entering menopause. Now, guys, our data is that we are best around the range of my sort of age, 18 to 22. I mean, your sort of age. Sorry, your sort of age. My bad.
Is that our peak?
That is our peak. Mainly because when we're doing the data, we're looking at the amount of length that we can, for how short it takes for us to get another erection, how often we have sex, that sort of thing, which is not just based on that, because on activity. Because remember, you must, like Puma was saying, it's about the way you feel, and sexuality is a mindset. It's the way you think.
Hold on, Prof. Are you saying if you're 36 now, your best days are behind you?
No, your best days are still ahead. But if we look at the data, why you guys between 18 and 22 are supposed to have the best sex is because of what we call a short refractory time. Now, what happens when we have an erection? A lot of blood just rushes into our penises, and we get the hardness. Once we ejaculate, there's a hormone called noradrenaline, which is released, which causes our blood vessels to squeeze down, and then we need to wait for that noradrenaline to go away before we can get another erection.
Okay.
So although guys think that we have multiple orgasms, we don't. We don't. Females do. Guys if in the 18 to 22 period, you can have a very short refractory period, like 5 seconds, maybe 10 seconds, but that's not multiple orgasms. But if you live long enough, I guess to go back to my real age, if you get towards about 80, the refractory period can be up to 30 days. And that happens as we get along. But there are things that we can be done. And like Mpumi is saying, it's a lot about general health changes. The psychological stresses, because you must make sure that you see your psychologist if there's a problem. Go and see your healthcare provider. Try to make sure you don't get into illness, and eat, not smoking, and generally doing some form of sort of physical activity. Like you, I was impressed by your marathons. Well done, Brandman.
Okay, so am I on a good cause?
You're on a good course. You're on a good course.
Tamo, you're calling us. Oh, let's start with Brenda first, calling us from Four Ways. Brenda, good morning.
Hello, Clement. How are you?
Good. Go ahead.
And hello to your guest as well.
Yeah.
Hi, Brenda.
Clement, Doctor, what I wanted to ask was that I've got a very low sexual libido. I hit menopause. I'm 48 years old. My period stopped last year, so it's about a year that I'm not seeing my periods anymore. But my libido is so gone. It's a disaster. I feel nothing. I lust for nothing. I don't want anything to do with sex, and it's so unfair on my husband because he's still very sexually active, but I'm not there anymore. And I am on HRT. I'm using TB leave right now. I've tried testosterone. My doctor got me onto a very low dose of testosterone that didn't assist. And my husband has been researching on the topics, and we found presentations from, I think, Professor Trudy or Dr. Trudy from the Gordon Institute. And I tried these vaginal tablets called Gynoflow. But nothing is helping at the moment. Nothing is working.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just dead, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not my husband. I assure him all the time. I try to say that it's not him. It's just like I've lost taste buds for sex.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Brenda, thank you so much for calling us. Doc?
Yeah, that is such a common thing. And I want to say, first and foremost, chances are you're probably A-okay in terms of physicality. Your body, sure, it's changed and it's transitioned into a phase of menopause. One of the big things that I maybe want to pose, and fair enough, Brenda, we don't have enough information to get into the details of your own individuality. But there is this thing when it comes to what we call sexual intelligence, which is, I made an example and I said, if you had to be thrown somewhere where you don't know and all you've got is 5,000 Rand, you can't speak the language, and now you suddenly have to figure out how to get to where you need to go. And that's what happens to us when our bodies change. You have done everything that you needed to do in terms of making sure that physically, so you've got an HRT, which is hormone replacement therapy. You've gotten some testosterone, which is basically balancing out or trying to assist with your hormonal side. But the big thing is the attitude also we have towards what is sexual pleasure, what feels good to us. One of the big things when it comes to women is that we don't particularly function a lot on what we call spontaneous desire, which is I see and I like and I want, or kind of like relying on feeling like it for you to even initiate sexual intimacy. So one of the things that we have to kind of unpack, and I'm happy to do this with you individually, in a consultation, but it's understanding that I think I've spoken to in our past conversations where it's like, if I said to you, Clement, would you like some chocolate? And you say, no, I don't feel like it. And then I say to you, just try. And then you take a bite and all of a sudden you're like, this is actually really nice. So don't be so hung up on how you feel in the beginning. Do the things that you need to do. Initiate sexual intimacy. Go on those date nights or and get into it. And by the way, just because you are now being sexually intimate, it doesn't mean you have to have penetrative intimacy. You can just go into it with the intention to have pleasure and do the things that you love and enjoy, and those that you don't, it's okay. It may not look anything like what it used to be, in your younger years. And get out of your mind the idea that normal sex is going from I feel like it, I'm turned on, I get into it, and then I have an orgasm. Normal sex is whatever it is that feels good to you at that time.
And explore and try
and explore.
Brenda, I'm going to put you back to the producers, and we will link you up with Dr. Zenda, and maybe you can have a consultation with her. Thabo, you've got a question for the prof here. Good morning. You're calling from Johannesburg.
Yes, how are you?
Sure. Go ahead, brother.
Good. I just want to find out, does having too much caffeine affect my erectile functioning?
Okay.
Because obviously I had a bit of caffeine.
Yeah.
But now when I'm trying, it's not just doing the proper way.
Okay. Got you. Thanks, Tibos.
Yeah, I know the short answer is that caffeine directly is not directly involved with sexual dysfunctions, basically. It can be involved with blood pressure changes and such. But there's data to show that coffee particularly does actually improve some sexual function, and also doesn't. And it's not. We know it's not just the caffeine that's there. It seems to be other aspects to do it. Not in excess as well, because anything in excess is going to be a problem. But I think the bigger issue is probably as we get older is remember that there are going to be changes in your sexuality. Yeah. You must consider getting yourself checked because there can be some underlying nastiness. But I wouldn't say the caffeine should be the blame. The association is not the same as causation.
Okay, 20 minutes now after 11 o'clock. More of your calls and WhatsApps after this.
John Perlman. Weekday afternoons,
3 to 6.
What reason were you given by the president for your axing?
I was given no reason, and the public hasn't been given a formal reason from the presidency yet. I was simply issued a letter. He has taken the decision to remove me, and thank you for your service.
Why do you think you have been fired?
I assume it's because I went to the United States without the express permission of the president, in spite of the fact that he had the letter for 10 days.
Andrew Whitfield.
John Perlman.
3 to 6 on 702.
We are woven into the same soil that shapes South Africa. Its dreams, its energy, its promise. These guide us. Together, we've built progress hand in hand, from the mines to bustling main streets, from one generation to the next. With communities, government, and partners, every initiative from healthcare to education, youth empowerment to entrepreneurship lights the way forward. Because we don't just mine minerals, we mine possibility and progress with purpose. Together, we're shaping what's next, mining potential, building beyond. Anglo-American.
Welcome to the Chamberlain Hotline. Press 1 for heaters, 2 for expert DIY advice, 3 for deals hotter than your geyser.
Or press 4 for all the above when you visit your nearest Chamberlain for our famous for warming your homes promotion. Get everything you need to make winter warmer from the 19th of June to the 6th of July, plus 10% off chamber value paint mixing and a free hot chocolate while you wait. Chamberlain, famous for hardware since 1903.
Dear Journal, day 4602 of trying to be an adult. My doctor asked me how my quality of rest is at the moment. I told him I have 2 problems. I struggle to sleep at night, but I also struggle to awake at day.
Aggressively realizing your age.
Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's simple and like 19 Rand a day, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
Our massive annual sale is finally here. Get to Dial-A-Bed today for up to 33% off a selection of our best brands, like the 40 Winks Extra Firm Active Zone Queen Set, reduced to only 11,999. Shop in-store or online right now. Plus, get fast delivery on our best sellers. Dial-A-Bed. Sleep for life.
The time to honor our past and step into a shared future as a team is here. Corporate hospitality and team entries for this year's 702 Walk the Talk are still open. Gather your colleagues together on Sunday, the 27th of July, to walk through the historic Freedom Park Heritage Site, past the national landmarks, and finish at the Union Buildings. To book hospitality, email hospitality@raceoffice.co.za. For corporate entries, visit primemediaplus.com. 702 Walk the Talk, hosted by Freedom Park Heritage Site in the city of Tshwane, where footsteps become footprints.
Relationship issues?
Relationship Talk
On 702.
23 minutes after 11 o'clock on our relationship and sex feature this morning. Adult radio, just to remind you, no kids allowed this morning. We've got Professor Shingai, we've got Dr. Zenda as well, and they're taking your sexual health related questions. Whatever you want to ask them, give us a call on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702.
Hi, morning, Clement. Pat here from Spayview. Just want to ask, I'm 60 years old. I turned 60 last year in August. Okay, I do a lot of gym for many years. I gym a lot. Here is the thing. Every day, around about 5 o'clock, just before I could wake up and go to pee or something, I'm aroused, like rigid. My third leg is like rigid every single morning. Not that I'll be craving for sex or something, no. But my third leg is like rigid. I know this thing used to happen when we were teenagers, when we wake up in the morning and you see your third leg. But at my age, how possible is this?
Jeez, at 60.
Thank you.
60 is young.
You are blessed.
Oh, you are
No, you're blessed, but he's blessed with the right stuff. Nothing wrong. For our purposes, there are three types of erections that guys get. One is the one that everyone thinks about, this psychological one, where you look at something and you want to have sex. That's the one that we usually use for intercourse. There's something called a reflexogenic erection. For example, even for example, paraplegic men, they're usually young, but they can still, 70-80% can still get erections. And what happens is if you pinch the tip of the penis or the inside of the anus, you get something called a bulbocavernosus reflex, sort of like the one for the knee jerk, but it then can cause an erection as well, and it can be used for intercourse. And the third one is what we call the morning erection, the one he's talking about, which, by the way, is extremely common. It actually happens from birth. From every baby boy gets between 12 and 15 erections every day. These are the same erections. They're not used for sex. They're used to get oxygen into your penis, the spongy tissues. And they're if it's working like that, and we know that it's based a bit on the so-called man chemical testosterone. It's not really man, it's both men. But if your testosterone is low, you won't get these morning erections. If your testosterone is normal, you will get them. So obviously his testosterone's in good shape. He's exercising. The only way to naturally increase your testosterone is by exercise anyways. And exercise does, by the way, people don't get worried, is about physical activity. Any form of physical activity is good, including sex. Even sex.
Tennis.
Even sex.
Sex can be activity.
Anything.
Okay.
So it's normal. It's normal.
Dr. Mpume, someone says, Clement, please may you ask Dr. Gaini there, why do I feel tight when I climax? My partner likes to play with me till I climax. Then he enters. I suppose she means penetrate, yeah? Mm-hmm. Then he enters, but for that moment when I'm all tight and then it's not comfortable anymore, if I ask him to enter before I climax, I lose the entire dance because I sort of reset. Is there an explanation to this? So when she climaxes, she says she's tired, but the partner likes to play around with her until she climaxes, and then he wants to then penetrate because she's tired. But she says that's uncomfortable then.
Yeah. It's perfectly normal because whilst there is a lot of blood flowing into your genitals in the build-up, especially when you climax, there is a huge physiological change in terms of increased heart rate, but also there's a tightening of your pelvic floor muscles as the climax is happening. So that's perhaps what is happening. I often say, even just like when we do something as simple as a pap smear, never ever try and get inside a woman whilst they are breathing in, because it's often there's a tightening of the pelvic floor muscles. And because that is uncomfortable. So it is important. I'm not sure what it is about the partner that he wants, and unless he's saying clitoral stimulation until she climaxes, finishes, and then he can go in. But whilst your lady is tightened up and breathing in, because there's like literally a contraction of muscles at that time, and obviously that's going to make it a little bit uncomfortable to get in while she's tight. Okay. So and the reality is it's probably just like a matter of seconds that he needs to just maybe wait a little bit, or if he is already inside, then it actually is much better. So just before she climaxes, then she should be going in.
All right, Johannes, you're calling us from Secunda. Good morning.
Please leave your message.
Okay, Johannes, we'll come back to you. Mukhale, you are in Senton. Hi.
Hey, how are you, Clement?
Sharp, man. Go ahead.
Good. Just a quick one, man. I just want to ask the doctor there. I've got a son who's about 27. He was born 1997 in Garangua. I think that's George Mokari.
Yeah.
He had a problem with this umbilical cord where it was like there was an operation at birth. Only to find out, I think that operation pulled up his testicles. So we discovered very late that his testicles, they hadn't descended. Now, we took him to medical clinic, they did the operation, they were just laughing, thinking that they can see them, but they just cut him, they did that operation, but they couldn't see anything. Now, okay, we let it go. But now he feels like he's not he describes himself as a gay guy. I don't know. I don't know what, he feels like he's not a man enough, and he just, very stressful.
Does he identify as gay, Mokhale? Does he say he identifies as gay?
Yeah, he said to me, one day he said to me, he's a gay.
Okay.
Said, son, what do you mean by that? Because your testicles hasn't come down, there was a wrong operation at birth, very frustrating, eh?
Okay, Mokhale, I got you.
Yeah, the short answer, he's when we're in our mother's womb, our testicles develop above our kidneys, and in the last few months before we're born, they come down into the normal position. They have to go down there because they need a temperature about 1 degree Celsius less than the rest of the body to make sperm in the future. In about 1% of guys, it doesn't go there. It gets stuck somewhere along the way. And the problem is that if he's got undescended testicles, he's now 27, we can already guarantee he's not going to be able to father children directly because there's no sperm in his thing. Now, what that has to do with sexuality is essentially zero, because the point is that sexuality is based on many other aspects. It's not just the testicles, and he is still going to be producing the man chemical. The sperm get damaged by the heat, but not the testosterone, the man chemical from the thing. So I think don't blame the system. I think the main thing is that if parents out there look and find that their kids don't have testicles in the scrotum, they must remember that they must try to pull it down as soon as possible, because we try to get them down within the first year or two after birth, because otherwise they won't have problems with fertility. But this has nothing to do directly with sexuality.
Is there anything else they can do now? Is it too late?
It depends on what they're trying to do. I mean, I think what his main concern is about his sexual orientation, and I think that's a thing of personal choice. If he's 27, I think he must always have a discussion with the family and stuff like that. But as far as fertility goes, there are things that can be done, but it's usually going to end up with donor sperm. You can't get your own sperm from the person.
All right, it's just after 11:30. Let's get the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Johannes in Secunda, I'll start with your call after the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Mbali, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. Former Deputy Minister of Trade, Andrew Whitfield, has described his axing as an unnecessary provocation. He says he's being if he is being fired for an unsanctioned overseas trip 4 months ago. The response has been disproportionate and inconsistent. Whitfield's axing comes at a time when the Government of National Unity has just overcome its differences on the national budget. The KZN government is taking its fight against undocumented foreign nationals to the Kosi Bay border gate today. Authorities are concerned about the influx of those who are coming into the country through the entry point illegally. And the Western Cape Department of Mobility is urging residents to be cautious while on the road. Several roads across the province have been affected by severe flooding. Traffic law enforcement officers have been deployed across the affected regions and they are tending to road closures. Those are the headlines this EWN and more at midday or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by cars.co.za. Let's find what moves you. Amo, how are we looking on the roads?
Well, Clement, we've got an accident in Bedford View. It's on the N3 South. It happened right near Van Buren Road. Delays from the Kilulis interchange while travelling on the N12 as well as the R24 West. Delays between Edenville Road and the Kilulis turn off. If you're travelling in Midrand, please be on the lookout for roadworks that are taking place on the N1 South, and they're causing delays between New Road and Allendale Road. And we've got more traffic volumes that are piling up along the N14 South just as you approach Malibongo Drive coming out of Cosmo City. Please be on the lookout there and drive with care. Otherwise, I'm Amo Ramela Karabojali. We'll have your next traffic update at the top of the hour.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Hey, Jim, what's wrong? Hi, Bob. I'm just so confused. I'm trying to buy a car, and I don't know where to stop. Well, have you tried to... Cars.coza. Have you tried to... Cars.coza. Sorry, we're trying to do an advert.
Whatever car you want to buy or sell, cut through the and just go to cars.coza and let's find what moves you. Cars.coza.
Struggling with the stairs at home? Let Lifter SA lift you up. Lifter's home lifts are sleek, European designed and fit into almost any home. No lift shaft, no major construction. All you need is a standard 220-volt plug installed in just 2 days. It's the perfect upgrade for your home or a smart addition to your new build. Why move when you can improve? Visit lifter.co.za or call 080-7373-737 for your free, no obligation assessment. Take your home to the next level with Lifter SA.
Checkers XXL Savings is on with the XXL Jackpot competition. The more SA swipes, the bigger the prize. Plus, save on Parmalat cheddar or Gouda cheese, 850 grams, 2 for 239 Rand. And Omo Auto Liquid 1.5 litre or capsules 16 or 22 pack. Buy any 3 and get the cheapest free. Remember, simply buy any 3 participating products, swipe your extra savings card and get a scratch card to enter the competition. Deals valid until Sunday at Checkers.
Tani Esther, or should I say the Tupperware Tani? How's business going?
Business is booming. I've been operating out of the boot of my car for 10 years, but shame, it couldn't keep up with my growing empire.
Okay, so you sold it to We Buy Cars?
Yes, quick. Sold my old one, bought a bigger one. I even sold some of my Tupperware to the friendly guy who picked up my car.
Stick to what you know best, eh, Tony?
Excuse me?
Never mind. We Buy Cars. Geared for your business, geared for you.
Hello, welcome to the Crazy Store.
Hello, hi. I would like a refund for the stress ball.
Of course.
I have been squeezing it for 6 days and I'm still totally stressed out.
I see.
These safety pins, they don't work. I pin them to my pants, but they don't make me feel safe. Can I exchange them for this pepper spray?
No problem. The Crazy Store. Our quality promise means we'll replace or refund any of our products that you are not happy with.
Nedbank Business Ignite on 702 is looking for a small business owner that talks a big game and delivers even bigger results. So, if you're a small business that consistently dares to innovate, expand and better your bottom line, you could walk away with 200,000 Rand cash or 200,000 Rand advertising package. So enter on igniteyourbusiness.co.za. Then every day this week from 6 a.m., catch 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa to find out if you're a finalist in the Nedbank Business Ignite on 702. T's and C's apply. Nedbank, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Coming up.
On 702 Afternoons with Relebogile Mabotja.
23 minutes before 12 o'clock, we're going to continue with our conversation this morning on our relationship and sex feature around sexual health. We're taking your sexual health related questions for Professor Mutambirwa and Dr. Mpumezenda. So keep your calls coming and your WhatsApps. I'm going to come to them in a moment. But first, let's find out what's coming up on 702 Afternoons with Relebogile Mabotja. And today, Relebogile has guests. The show is going to be co-hosted by Gerhard and Khanya. Khanya is 14, Gerhard is 20. Are you guys excited about today?
Yes, very.
That's
extremely
amazing.
excited.
All right, so what's coming up today on the show?
So firstly, I'm going to be hosting/co-hosting the first feature, which is the food feature, where we're going to have Zaza's Eatery and Catering with the owner and the chef, which is but the same person, and it's Zandile Temba. And we're going to be tasting her very famous curry bunny chow, I believe.
Ah, that's going to be amazing. Yeah, Khanya, what are you looking at?
And firstly, speaking of the 702 Youth Month takeover, I must say I am super thrilled. I'm Khanya Ramahadi and I'll be co-hosting the Unplugged feature, and I'll just be chatting to a band called the Babel Hume. So please tune in. We'd love to hear what you think. It's our first time and we're super excited. And then at 2 o'clock, we have the Upside of Failure, and we'll be joined by Zulaika Patel, who is a distinguished human rights advocate, international speaker, and I think a 2-time best-selling author.
She is indeed, yes.
She is. Guys, have lots of fun.
Thank you.
Very much.
Listen up between 1 and 3 p.m. on 702 Afternoons and share and give some love to Gerhard and Khanya. All the best, guys. It's 20 minutes before 12 o'clock.
Relationship issues
Relationship talk.
on 702.
All right, let's continue with our relationship and sex feature. We are taking your calls on 011-883-0702. We're taking your WhatsApps on 072-702-1702. Let's go back to Johannes, who's calling us from Secunda. Johannes, good morning.
Good morning, Clement. How are you?
Good, Johannes. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm calling 1069.
Okay.
I've got a BP problem, but it's not affecting me so much because in the morning I just run, but I got that I don't get erection, and I used to use Cilias, but it's no longer working for me now. Sometimes Viagra, sometimes I use Viagra, but it's no longer working. I also sometimes go to men's clinic to get injection.
Yeah.
So when I want to have sex, I must just get injection. That's all. So I asked, what can I use so that I can go back to my normal.
And how old are you now, Johannes?
I'm 68. I'm going to 1069.
Okay, 68. Okay.
Yeah.
Just hold the line in case Professor Shingai has some questions for you. Prof, he's 68. Every time he has to have sex, either uses Viagra or has to go to the clinic.
I think, remember we said earlier that the best directions for guys between the age 18 and 22. After that, it's like wear and tear. We must remember that our body's like machines. There's wear and tear. By the time a guy reaches 30, our testosterone level starts dropping. By the time we reach 40, about 50% of guys are going to have a problem with not maintaining an erection sufficient for intercourse. And by the time you reach 90, if you manage that, you're probably looking at about 70-80% of guys doing it. The point is that it's part of the process of life. And I think he's trying to reenact. I know a lot of patients come and they say, listen, I want to go back to I used to perform like this. I'm not a magician. I can't turn back the hands of time. If you're responding to these medications, the Viagras and Cialis, he's talking, they're a group of drugs called PDE5s, excellent medications. Actually, we've published on it, protects you from heart attacks, good stuff, works well. The injections he's talking about, you can get them from these clinics, but you can also get them from your medical provider. They increase blood flow, excellent stuff. If those aren't working, sometimes we have to add testosterone. Sometimes we have to use something called a pump that can actually suck blood into the penis. And if worse comes to worse, or best comes to worst, we can actually put an artificial penis in there with a pump that can actually give you an erection. But I think he's overthinking it. He's 68. I'd be surprised if he didn't have erectile dysfunction. And although he's stopped responding, I think the short answer for him is you go see his healthcare provider. The commonest cause for men not responding to these PDE5s is low testosterone. If we supplement the testosterone, it improves it. But the injectables are good. The tablets are good. The erection pumps are good. The prostheses are good as well.
Okay.
But I think he must stop overthinking it.
Okay, go check it out, Bright Johannes. Thank you so much for your call. So when you say you can put an artificial penis, how does that work? What happens?
There are two types for our purposes. Basically, there's two. The penis is made up of two spongy tissues, which are covered by a fibrous capsule. And when we get an erection, it's just blood going into the spongy tissue. We basically cut open the fibrous part. We borrow out all the spongy tissue, and we put either a malleable prosthesis, which is rigid, and you go up. You can push it up or down. But there's also pumps where you can actually pump. There's a reservoir, and we can then use a pump to pump fluid into a reservoir in the penis, which gives great erections. And the satisfaction for those things are somewhere in the region of 90-95%.
Okay.
But the point is, they can be a bit expensive in some of the medical schemes.
Okay. Dr. Zenda, Anonymous says, Clement, please can you ask Dr. Gaini, every time after the deed, I, as the woman, I get an infection. We went to see a doctor. The doctor says he is fine. I am prone to infection as I am diabetic. Nothing can be done. So what can I do to avoid infections as the woman?
Right. So the likelihood is that she's probably having a yeast infection, plus minus something we call bacterial vaginosis. This is not a sexually transmitted infection. This is purely a change or a shift in the pH. When you look at the natural pH of a woman, it sits at about 3.5 to 4.5, whereas when it comes to semen in particular, it's more alkaline and it sits more in the 7.5, 7.8. So what generally happens is that either because of aging, in the perimenopause, menopausal area, or she already has mentioned the fact that she's got diabetes, which then makes her even more prone to yeast infections. Some of the simple things that she can do immediately after intercourse, there's nothing wrong with getting up, go to the bathroom, get some citrus soda, drink that, take an unscented wipe from front to back, and generally you'll find that settles things. Over and above that, there's over-the-counter antifungal creams or what we call pursaries that she can use. So it's just an understanding of, okay, your body has shifts in this way, and it's not something that is, it's not that serious.
Yeah. Yogurt, unsweetened, unflavored yogurt.
See, the yogurt doesn't really work as well. And one of the things that we looked at is the fact that the type of the bacilli that is inside the lactobacilli that is in the yogurt, it's more for your gut. But the benefit to it is that if your gut health is good, you find that it actually helps with your vaginal health as well. In the same way that eating well and avoiding things like alcohol, lots of caffeine, lots of spicy foods, that will still come through and have some kind of an impact. So the healthier your lifestyle is, the better your vaginal health is as well.
Okay, there's a question here.
But no food on the vagina. No yogurt.
But okay, yeah, okay. Someone is asking this question. I don't know if they're male, female. Why do I sometimes cry after sex?
Maybe it's nice.
Yeah, cry with joy.
Yeah,
I think the one thing we know for sure that happens after sex in 20% of people is that there are only 3 erectile tissues in the body. One of them is the penis. Second is the clitoris, which is exactly the same length and exactly the same organ as the penis in many ways. Mm-hmm. And the third one are the nasal cavities. And so when we have orgasm or we're taking some of these medications, you can get a stuffy nose because of it's just an erectile tissue, and that might be causing the crying. But like I say, I think Pumi is correct.
It's tears of joy too.
Yeah. Also, I mean, particularly for women, we get a big dose of oxytocin, which we call is the love hormone. So there is a sense of emotional that plays with it. It helps us bond better. That's why we want to cuddle and so on. So maybe somebody who's more, in touch with their emotions, it's like, oh my gosh, that was
and then
it's
you're
good,
weeping.
It's good.
Here's a voice note.
702. Good morning, Clement. Can you please ask from the doctors if imbiza, the traditional medicine, ukuchatha, kanjalo, does it help in terms of bringing back sexual libido? Luvuyo Krasmer.
Okay, thank you for that. Here in Imbiza, someone help me.
Yeah.
Is it traditional?
Traditional,
I think it's like stuff, yeah. Because there are guys who will go, or women who... I mean, when you go to like places like Thailand, especially in Asia, I mean, how many times do you see like the yoni, what, and don't. So obviously you guys, that's not your area, but would you advise for people to try that?
The short answer is if you want to, but
some of them are dangerous. You're seeing a little paper advertisement on the side of the road.
Those are not even the ones. Those are doing some other things as well. But actually, as a shout out to my mother, her PhD was actually based on the same on traditional medications. It was published about 40 years ago. And in it, she actually, they investigated, first of all, most of the imbizos and things are used more for gut health rather than and the other sexuality. And the chemical analysis of most of these things, similar to the yoni, to the Spanish fly, is there's a chemical in most of these things called cantheridine, which is actually a toxin. It actually causes irritation to various mucosal in the body and stuff like that. And it also causes irritation to the pipe for passing urine in our body, which then can cause the same reflex erection, which can help in some guys, but it can also cause liver failure. It can also cause kidney failure. And we don't know what the dosage is. And so I always tell guys, if they're comfortable and they're happy with what they're doing, that's cool. But I don't know what's in it, and I wouldn't guarantee it. I'm a researcher, so I would say I'd avoid it if possible. But if it's working for you, hey, I think it might be in the mind, but it's also it does have a physical part as well.
All right, it's 12 minutes now before 12 o'clock.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
President Cyril Ramaphosa standing up to relieve Deputy Minister Whitfield of his duties. We are told that the reason why Mr. Whitfield was fired is because he went to the United States during that time when certain organizations were looking for favor with people in the United States. But hell, man, when you start to think about the issues that hang over ministers such as Thembisa Malan, Deputy President Paul Mashatile, the Minister of Higher Education.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
This game day, Checkers is bringing the fire. They've got essays, number 1, Boerewors and South Africa's favorite steak. Plus, save extra on championship thick or thin Boerewors for 109 Rand per kilo. Simba potato chips, 3 for 48 Rand. You save 15 Rand. And Knox sparkling hydration drinks, any 2 for 28 Rand. Light the fire, South Africa, and let Checkers do the rest.
Kickstart your small business with a starter bundle from Nedbank. Enjoy free transactions for 6 months, including free cash deposits and withdrawals and a free debit card with easy digital access and a dedicated banker to guide you along every step of the way. Open a Nedbank starter bundle with SA's best bank for SMEs. Apply on the Money app today. Nedbank. See money differently. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and credit provider. T's and C's apply.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We are also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comments, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we are not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission. Email bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
Relationship issues
Relationship Talk
on 702.
9 minutes before 12 o'clock, we're wrapping up our conversation with Professor Shingai and Dr. Gaini. Any sexual health related question that you have. Let's start with you, Tsepo, in Limpopo. Good morning.
Morning, Clement. How are you?
Hey, Tsara. Shosho, what's your question?
I just wanted to find out. I thought that for females, coming is a feeling, Babo. But now, with asking for a friend, their partner, whenever they come,
whenever they come, they do what?
They pee or squirt.
Okay.
So this is all the time. Like I wanna lamahal. So before I tell my friend to pat himself on the back, is it normal? That is. That
is it normal? All right, got you, Tsepo. Pat yourself at the back. Dr. Gaini?
So it is both a physiological response as well as the experience of that euphoric pleasure. when they come. Now, when it comes to in terms of squirting or them having pee coming out, it could be one of two things. Yes, we definitely, as females, do get something similar that comes from what we call Skin's glands. But that is in very small amounts, like about 15 mils of that. If she is coming and having like pools of, wet the sheet kind of fluid, chances are there is urine in that as well. And that's also because, especially during penetrative intercourse, the bladder literally sits just right behind or above the floor of the inner vagina. So the likelihood of somebody releasing urine is very big. So if she is wetting the sheets, it's probably pee. And if it's something that you enjoy, nothing wrong with that. But it's not... If for those women who don't squirt or those who don't have that squirting effect during intercourse, it does not diminish or make your orgasm better or less.
Okay,
yeah,
got it. Here's a WhatsApp.
Good morning, Clement. Good morning to your guests. Clement, I've got one that might be a bit impossible. I don't know how, but please can you ask them, hasn't there been a study on how to get men's contraceptive? Even if a man has to have an injection or maybe pills, except for vasectomy. Please, man, I'll listen to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Spike from Lens.
Prof?
Yeah. You're quite right. We've got a bit of dearth of contraceptive devices for guys. Females have many more, and we could probably tell you more about that now. But the thing is, for us currently, it's really just condoms, withdrawal, which is really not very effective. It's really, really hopeless. And vasectomy, which is tying the tubes. Fortunately, we are doing trials on these things. We've been involved as well with one of the the male pill, which is really an injection, not really a pill. And it's usually basically trying to suppress the amount, the sperm count by giving hormones like testosterone. But I think to make it simple so we don't have time, there are things that we're using from the testicle to suppress inside the sperm themselves, things that we're stopping the sperm from swimming. There are lots of chemicals that are in trial for that. We can block the tubes without a vasectomy by using specific gels and stuff. That's also in trial. We can stop the sperm once they've been ejaculated from being active inside the female by various things. And then we can suppress the testicles by causing the brain to not send a signal to make the sperm. And those are the basic things, but they're all of them are trial. They're probably, hopefully in the next year or two, we'll have more.
Okay, I've got a minute left here. One person says, Clement, can HSV2 be transmitted via oral sex? And how easily is it to transmit via sexual intercourse? That's a message from Terry in London.
And that's herpes. And yes, it can be transmitted. Most of the time, the time where it is most easily transmittable is when a person actually has a lesion. Otherwise, because it stays latent in the body, they don't transmit it when there isn't a lesion. It's when they've got that lesion, herpes lesion, where it is most transmittable. So try and avoid when you do have that lesion. Yeah.
Prof, last one. Please, can you ask the guest there? At first, when I was having sex, I had an orgasm since I started. But since I started to masturbate, my penis is numb. It gets hard, but I don't feel anything when I'm penetrating. But when I masturbate, I orgasm and I release sperm. Is anything wrong with me?
If he's trying to have babies, maybe it is. But the short answer, the biggest sex organ is the brain. If you're managing to get orgasm when you're masturbating and not when you're having penetration, you'll probably have to go and see a relationship therapist if you're really looking to have a baby. But if you're comfortable with it, it's also cool as well.
All right. Professor Shingai, Dr. Mpumezanda, thank you for coming. I'll see you in 2 months.
Thanks for the opportunity,
if you are at work.
4 minutes before 12.
The thrill of the chase comes with great rewards in the legendary Hollywood Bets Spinner Zonke Jackpot Race. Join the run, spin selected habanero slots for fun, and stand a chance to win a share of 3 million rand. Feel the rush in the race for riches when you bet 2 rand or more every Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, and you could jump with Jackpot Joy. Take on the challenge and discover endless opportunities to win big. Bet now.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
Beauty lovers, listen up. It's time to treat yourself because Take A Lot month and beauty sale is now on with savings of up to 50% off. That's right, fabulous beauty deals just for you. Revamp your look with their top winter skincare products. Add that perfect mascara to make your eyes pop or find your signature scent with luxury perfume. Want that beauty spoil now? Well, get unlimited same-day delivery with Take A Lot more. Download the Take A Lot app and indulge in the month-end beauty sale.
Quiet, please. Quiet, please. Quiet, please.
With 50% off on limited Tennistown tickets, no wonder Amex card members are so thrilled. Enjoy a world-class tennis experience at Monte Casino between 11 and 13 July 2025. Buy your tickets for Amex Tennistown online today at howler.co.za for the Championships Wimbledon experience with the Mzansi advantage. Tennis is better with Amex.
Coming up
on the Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
Hello, Mandy Wiener.
Hello, it's a vibe in your studio
It
today.
is. It's a Friday
It's
vibe.
a Friday.
What's popping today on the show?
I've done an interview with Andrew Whitfield, which we'll play. I know you chatted to him as well yesterday. But yeah, I spoke to him about an hour ago about the situation. Then Floyd Shivambu is having a press conference.
Another one?
About who's going to be sitting on this Mayibuye Africa what that's
party
going to tell him
whatever.
to start a party.
Okay.
And then it's Friday.
Sports and good things
too.
Okay, that's what's coming up on the Midday Report.
And
with Mandy Wiener.
we're also the head of the country's crime intelligence unit at the police is appearing in court today.
Yesterday.
I remember a period in 2012, 2013 when I was a EWN reporter where there was like a revolving door of crime intelligence heads, and they were all being charged with corruption. We feel a bit like we're back there again, and the Hawks are doing what the Scorpions did once upon a time as well. So interesting.
Yeah, wonder if there's infighting in the sector as well. Looking forward to that chat. Mandy Wiener coming up on the Midday Report. Thank you for listening to the Friday edition of the Clement Manyathela Show. I'll be back with you on Monday between 9 and 12. Have a beautiful weekend, my friends. Bye-bye.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. Former Deputy Minister of Trade Andrew Whitfield has described his axing as an unnecessary provocation. He says if he is being fired for an unsanctioned overseas trip 4 months ago, then the response is inconsistent. Whitfield's axing comes at a time when the Government of National Unity has just overcome its differences on the national budget. Speaking to Cape Talk this morning, Whitfield says he hopes this matter does not impact the stability of the GNU. Lindsay Dendlinger reports.
While the DA's executive fumes at the dismissal of Andrew Whitfield, the first minister to be fired in the first year of the new administration, Whitfield himself has questioned the timing. He says his request to travel in February on party business and his subsequent correspondence to the presidency acknowledging his transgression went unanswered.
I think it's an unnecessary provocation on an issue that could have been resolved earlier, number one, or number two, differently.
While Whitfield doesn't believe Ramaphosa has consistently applied the travel rule to all ministers, he doesn't want to see the GNU collapse over this latest spat.
I think he's really turned up the heat at a really unfortunate time when, the GNU is starting to heal post the budget negotiations and the VAT debacle.
While the DA's federal executive has set President Cyril Ramaphosa an ultimatum to axe ministers who are accused of corruption within the next day, it hasn't said what steps it will take if he doesn't. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
The KwaZulu-Natal government is taking its fight against undocumented foreign nationals to the Gossi Bay border gate today. Authorities are concerned about